What's up, folks? What's up, kin, I should say? Welcome in. Welcome back to the stream, everybody. I'm here on my mobile command center on my way to Lodestar Open. We just live streamed last night from here with some T5S tier invitational gameplay, and we're back, boys, with the Leagues of Votann. Codex was just dropped for public consumption on the internet. I'm going to turn my microphone down a little bit. It looks like it's a little high. Hopefully that sounds okay, folks. Let me know if it does. And try to equalize things a little bit. And we're going to be running through this. So what we have right now is, to my knowledge anyway, what I have seen so far is all of the detachments and datasheets for the new Leagues of Votann Codex. We don't have like the army rule page or points as far as I am aware. However, that's fine because we have at least the army rule on Warhammer Community. So we're going to talk about that first, so we can contextualize kind of what we're going to be discussing here today and run through this. Now, I've looked at some of these rules, although I have not looked at them in depth. So a lot of this is going to be right off the rip from my own perspective. And then, yeah, here we go. So, army rule, real quick. This is actually, this took me a little while to kind of parse through because it's very confusing, but this is all for Warhammer Community. The Votann has a new resource mechanic called yield points, which they will gain from controlling objectives, and many detachments will also give them ways to both gain and spend yield points. You gain yield points at the start of command phases. You can gain them from both your and your opponent's command phase. However, whether or not what ability your yield points are unlocking only tracks at the end of your own command phase. So that's important to keep that one in mind. Ryan G with the super chats right off the rip. What's up, dude?
Donated $5 through super chat. The thrice devoured has come to clap them tyrannid cheeks. AP -4 in the Grotsma's detachment base. AP
-4 in 10th edition. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, dude? That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. You start with the hostile acquisition ability. Then, at the end of your command phase, it will check how many yield points you have. If you have 7 or more, then you switch that for the remainder of the round until the end of your next command phase for Fortify Takeover. So your army ability is actually modal. It changes based on the stage of the game you're in. Now, how do we gain yield points? First of all, you gain yield points at the end of each player's command phase. And then second Battlefront round onwards, there's also an additional criteria. So, at the end of each player's command phase, you get a yield point if you control an objective marker within your deployment zone. So theoretically, that should be 10 yield points over the course of the game. So by end of battle round 4, we should have 7 regardless. You also gain an additional yield point at the end of each player's command phase, battle round 2 onwards, if you control an objective marker in not within your deployment zone, and a second one if you control 2 or more not within your deployment zone. There's also a hold more component as well. Now, keep in mind, the yield points are not they're not like coterie pledge points. They don't just accrue and stack up. You can spend them to do stuff. So, you're not necessarily locked in. This total might both raise and lower over the course of the game. But generally speaking, you should be gaining two yield points, or you almost certainly gain 2 yield points in the first battle round. And then battle round 2 onwards, you should be gaining at least 4, because theoretically you're holding your expansion objective in most layouts. So you can kind of consider that you're probably averaging like 3 yield points per battle round is going to be like generally the push. However, the interesting thing is that these basically have bottom of turn scoring, because if you run out and grab an objective, you will score the yield point for that additional objective at the end of your opponent's subsequent command phase. So for example, while you might be gaining 4 yield points per round passively by just holding 2 objectives, 1 objective outside your deployment zone, 1 objective inside your deployment zone, and then again at the end of your opponent's command phase, if you run out and steal their expansion objective with Hernkyn Yaegirs or something, then you'll contest the objective. If you control it yourself, at the end of their turn, you'll gain an additional yield point for having 2 in No Man's Land. If you also push the middle and you hold all 3 in No Man's Land, you'll also gain hold more. So you can sort of like pull, if you have things to do with your yield points or you want to unlock the second army ability, you can push and try to grab them from your opponent really aggressively, which is kind of cool. So there's like a bunch of different ways to gain these. In fairness, it is a little confusing. I definitely, right off the my first impression, I'm not really sure exactly how many yield points we're going to be expecting to get over the course of a game, and how often we can stay inside that 7 yield point threshold to gain our second army ability. But I don't know. We'll see. That will come with play. Okay, let's move on and talk about the abilities you actually gain. So hostile acquisition, and I love these names, by the way. They're very corporate. I appreciate that. The hostile acquisition gives you +1 to hit when targeting an enemy unit within range of an objective marker, and you reroll advance and charge rolls. This is basically the bare bones of the army ability. At worst case scenario, you're going to gain this ability for the entire game. Even if you're just burning through all your yield points, if you have less than 7 yield points, even down to 0, you're just gonna have this locked in for the entire game. So worst case scenario, you get reroll advance and charge rolls and +1 to hit targeting enemies on objectives. Those are totally fine. That's a perfectly serviceable army ability. However, if we gain Fortified Takeover, so Fortified Takeover gives you a version of like the kind of like the Custodian Guard ability, so it switches the +1 to hit. Instead of targeting enemies on objectives, it checks for your units that are on objectives that you control, then you gain +1 to hit. This makes it much better for like melee units, which will often charge onto an objective, apply their OC at the end of the charge phase, take the objective, and then gain +1 to hit and beat the crap out of your opponent. In addition, you also get like a Transhuman Wrath of the Rock effect on any non-vehicle units. If the strength characteristic is higher than the toughness characteristic of the model for attacks targeting those models, they get -1 to be wounded. So that ability is incredible. So while there are definitely bonuses and malices to having both, like either one at a time, both of these are going to be very, very strong abilities just in general. So I think you're probably not upset to have either of these, basically. But definitely, I don't know. I think the -1 to be wounded is going to be super obnoxious because Votann tend to be high toughness anyway. So like having strength 6 guns like wound all of their infantry on 4s is going to be obnoxious for sure. And especially things like Hernkyn Pioneers that are like sort of mass high wound mounted units are going to be super duper difficult to kill with that unlocked. So if you can get to this level, that's going to be super tough. It seems cool. I don't know, Chance. Therein lies the Hernkyn Yaegirs job. Yeah, it's even better. It feels like than the previous version where they're just a screen, where all they were doing is basically just like preventing your opponent from bum rushing you, and now they are very thematically. First of all, this army ability is incredibly thematic. They're very thematically like running out to secure claims and then steal money from your opponent. They're gonna beat them up and take their lunch money. Anyway, chats, let's talk about some detachments. So what I'm going to do, most of the detachments have a specific theme. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do the thing where we go through a detachment and we go through all of its related units. We're going to start with the basic detachment Needguard Oathband. So this is kind of the all-rounder detachment. This one is, it's like a little bit like the old index detachment. It's a little bit like Oathband. However, it has changed its theme quite a bit, but it doesn't have any particular necessity for particular units. Everything just works on regular Leagues of Votann. So that's what we're going to talk about first. So Needguard Oathband, the detachment ability is really simple. Each time an enemy unit is destroyed, you gain a yield point. So you can farm enemies for yield points in this detachment, and you can spend those yield points. This is the sort of the theme of this detachment. You can spend those yield points to generate a bunch of additional damage and support effects. So Enhancements, we have the Oathbound Speculator. Each time a model in the bear's unit makes an attack roll, wound roll of 1. Great ability, especially when you're already +1 to hit. Each time you're selected to shoot, you can spend 3 yield points, so almost at least a full turn of yield point gain, potentially even a full round of yield point gain. And basically, I would say most of these also generate or are going to be around 3 yield point spends. That said, you're gaining yield points when you kill people, so a lot of these are going to be 2 yield points because you're going to select a unit to shoot, burn 3 yield points to buff them, and then kill the unit you're targeting and then gain one of those yield points back. So it's not quite as bad as that. So you get reroll wound rolls of 1. You can spend 3 yield points. If you do, you get +1 to wound. Which is absolutely sick. Oops, sorry, chat. Didn't mute my phone. Dead Reckoning is the next one. At the end of your turn, if the bear is on the battlefield and you spent no yield points in that turn, you gain 1 yield point. Generally speaking, it's probably going to be working on round 1. And it might work later on. So it's probably, if it's not super expensive, that's probably 1 yield point for free over the course of the game. It is end of each turn, actually, now that I'm reading it again. And I don't know how often you're going to be spending yield points in your opponent's turn. That's actually sick. Wait, that's amazing. Iron Ambassador is the next one. When you're selected to shoot, you can use the enhancement. You can spend 3 yield points until the end of the phase. Add the number of yield points you just spent to the damage characteristic of the bearer's ranged weapons. So that's for the character only, but we do have some pretty strong ranged characters in this army now. We have things like the little scientist guy who actually has like kind of a sick gun. So that could be kind of sick. Ancestral Crest, I guess it is bears only. I guess like I don't know. I haven't looked at Grimnyrs yet, but I don't know if they have a good gun as well. But it's +3. It could be up to 3 damage. So we damage 1 weapon, like a regular bolter goes to damage 4. That's wild. What the fuck? That's, yeah. Oh, it's only Autok pattern combi bolters. So it is only combi bolters. Yeah, okay. All right. Less good than I thought. So it's basically going to be, I believe that's just like the Einhyr champion, right? Is specifically that weapon profile. Is that right? Their ranged weapon is called, an Autok pattern combi bolter. What does a Kahl have? He just has a regular combi bolter, right? Oh, he does have an Autok pattern combi bolter. Okay, so it's either of the regular characters, the champion and the Kahl. Okay, well, that's less exciting because the basic profile we're buffing is not very good. Hits on 2, strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage, most likely. I haven't looked at the new profile if it's changed. Ancestral Crest is the last one. Once per turn, when you target the bearer's unit with command reroll, you can spend 1 yield point and reduce the cost of that strategy by 1. It doesn't let you duplicate it. It only lets you...
Ryan G donated $10 through Super Chat. When we get to data sheets, could we look at Wargear options/special weapons? Was weird anti-synergy with special weapons being worse than standard loadout and warrior instructions with illegal loadouts?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, we'll look at the weapons. Think of the super chat, by the way. So this doesn't let you duplicate command reroll. You only get 1 command reroll, but you get it for free potentially if you spend a yield point. Going to some stratagems. Now, a lot of these we can enhance with yield points as well. So we have a trillion outlets to spend yield points in this attachment. Void Hardened is Armor of Contempt. If you have fortified takeover, active, so you have 7 or more yield points. Unfortunately, well, first of all, I like this because Armor of Contempt is really stupid, and putting extra riders on it's good, so that's fine. But unfortunately, because we're spending so many yield points, it's probably going to be difficult to unlock Fortified Takeover, if I had to guess in this attachment, because we're burning through our yield point gain so quickly. Unless we're killing like massive numbers of enemy units, holding on to 7 feels difficult. Honor of the Hold, usable in the fight phase on a Votann unit not been selected to fight yet. You can spend 3 yield points when you use the stratagem. You select 1 enemy unit within engaged range of your unit until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes a melee attack that targets that enemy unit, improve the armor penetration characteristic of the attack by 1. If you spent yield points, you gain 2 instead. The wording here is really weird. If you spend yield points during the use of the stratagem, which just means that if you spend the 3 yield points, I don't know why it like just says you can spend 3 yield points to gain Armor Penetration characteristic 2 instead. This makes it sound like if you do anything else to spend yield points, it will actually trigger that instead of the stratagem expenditure, but I don't think that that's correct. So that's a super bizarre wording. I don't know. It's going to confuse some people. They're going to be like, oh, but I used Oathbound Speculator to give +1 wound, so I don't have to spend CP or yield points for the stratagem. But I don't think that's the case. So I don't know. Ordered Retreat, you can fall back and still shoot and charge. It's the same as in the Index. And Stressful Sentence. It's a unit that has not been selected to shoot. You can spend 3 yield points. You gain sustained hits 1. If you spent yield points, you gain sustained hits 2 instead. So that's a lot of this is essentially the Index detachment, but instead of checking grudge tokens on your target, because those don't exist anymore, you just spend yield points to unlock the enhanced version, which means that they're available on everyone, which is kind of sweet. Hunter's Mark in your shooting phase. This is a Leagues of Votann unit that has not been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, you get reroll 1 to hit and wound. Sick. Let's go. It's any Votann unit, so you can do this on like Hekaton land fortresses too. Like big, huge shooting platforms. This is a very nice stratagem, especially since we're already most likely getting +1 to hit. So we're hitting on 3s rerolling 1s, which is very nice. If it was 4s rerolling 1s, I would feel bad because the chance that you convert the reroll is really kind of low. But 3s for the most part is going to be good. Reactive Reprisal is still here in your opponent's shooting phase after a unit has shot if units from your army have Fortified Takeover active. So I guess the 2 most powerful stratagems, or I guess transformative stratagems, do have a rider on them. They require you have Fortified Takeover active. So it's not available early game, and it's going to have to be late game, unless you've really tabled your opponent, in which case you don't really need to be reactive reprising if you've gained 1 million yield points for killing them. You can shoot back at the enemy that shoots you if you were selected to target. I think it used to require that you lost a model. Is that right? Oh no, it didn't. Yeah, no, you just got targeted. Is it the Hallows Martyred one that requires you lose somebody? I think that one of them does that, right? Praise the Fallen, yeah. Adeptus Roritas lost a model as a result of shooting attacks, yeah. That's the one. But Reactive Reprisal just as if you target me. But it's anything, so you can shoot back with leagues with land fortresses and stuff. That's pretty cool, gents. Pretty cool. Volar Armor works better? No. It actually got significantly worse. It requires that you have Fortified Takeover now, whereas previously it was just you could use it whenever. Gonna spend rerolls on the land fortress and roll 2 2s, yeah. Facts. Indeed, chat. All right, I think with this one, I'll take the opportunity. Let me go find the data sheets. We'll talk about some of the non-typed units, because this is going to be like largely sort of like Hearthkyn stuff, and we can talk about that in a moment. So we've talked about the basic detachment. Let's talk about the basic units in the codex. Uthar the Destined makes his triumphant return. He can now spend a yield point to change a hit, wound, or saving throw to a 6, which is a little bit disappointing because he used to just do that for free, right? Which I guess is not great. Oh, but he couldn't do saving throws, so it is a side grade. All right, okay, fair enough. Once per battle round with a friendly Leagues of Votann unit within 12 inches of this model's target with a stratagem, you can use the ability to reduce the cost of that stratagem by 1 command point. What a significantly improved ability. He just becomes a little Guilliman. He's a little tiny Guilliman. He's so small. But he still retains all his devastating wound guns, so you can spend the yield points to automatically inflict mortals with them. Uthar, I think he went from 0 to hero there, I think. I don't know if the Kahl has sort of the same effects. Do I have a Kahl? There he is. No, he has a different ability. So Uthar definitely feels like he actually has a unique ability now. He's not just a Kahl with extra steps. Absolutely love him. Let's go. Buri Aegnirssen. Excuse me, closing my window. The new Tyrannid Slayer character. He comes in kind of a basic top line profile. He does have a crest for a 4+ invulnerable save, which is nice. And an outshark powder bolt pistol. Okay. He's got a 2+ weapon skill melee attack at strength 12, AP 3 damage with precision. A very good melee profile. Significantly above average, and I'm glad we're getting back to this level where characters actually do damage in melee. This thing where characters were like strength 5, AP 2 damage across the board was really annoying. I think Games Workshop has realized that characters are more fun when they do stuff. He also has a sweet profile, 10 attack, strength 6, AP 2, 1 damage. Everything hits on 2s, which is nice. This guy's actually kind of sweet for reroll 1s, right? Because a lot of times he's 2s into 2s, and if you give him reroll 1s for a CP, he's just 2s into 2s rerolling. That feels very consistent. I like it. The first time he's destroyed on a 2+, he's set back on the battlefield with full runes remaining. You love to see it. He's also stealth and lone operative, so he's a little bit tough to get to grips with anyway. In your opponent's shooting phase, after an enemy unit has shot, if Buri lost 1 or more wounds as a result of those attacks, this model can make a vengeance move. He rolls d6 and adds 2 to the results, moves that number of inches of must end closer. It's a blood surge. He's doing a blood surge. I think he's just going to die. I don't know how often you're going to post up to shoot Buri Aegnirssen and then not just straight up kill him. So, especially if he takes damage, because it doesn't work off hits, right? It works off losing wounds. So if you shoot him with like a bolt pistol, you probably just won't in case he moves, which is probably the use case. But the chances you get like a random pistol shot through to do 1 damage is very low. So this is kind of a punishment for when your opponent gets spiked out by his invuln save. Which is kind of a feel bad. I actually really don't like this ability. Your opponent has to like post up and shoot him with something that's strong enough to consistently wound him, but then he accidentally doesn't die, and then he just gets to fuck them. this big dumb spear. I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that, chat. That's a weird one. It's a bit of a strange one. Yeah, he has no field up pain. Yeah, field up pain would be nice. Stealth helps, but stealth doesn't help you like survive taking wounds. It's a problem. It helps you not get hit at all, right? I don't know. It's a weird one. Like if he was like 8 wounds or something, and it would like he could legitimately tank a big hit, and that was like part of his design. But he's 5 wounds. He's like a Space Marine captain. How oftentimes have your Space Marine captain, not in a unit, just been shot by a gun and lived?
Ryan G donated $2 through Super Chat. Grotzmas gives him reroll 1 space.
Hey, let's go. Yeah, we'll have to talk about the Grotzmas detachment for sure. He's a lone op, so if you don't kill him, he's surging into you. No, because he can move maximum 8 inches, and you can shoot him at 12. So you just stay out of it. I mean, depending on the situation. I'm not going to say he's bad, for sure. I think a lone op character with a strength 12 melee weapon is always going to be good. Who regenerates? Like he's one of the best like utility characters in the entire game. This is just such a weird ability to put on him. I guess it's like flavorful, right? Because he's just an angry little man. Yeah, I don't know. It like mechanically, I don't know if it really works with him. Let's go. Brokhyr Thunderkyn. Get a bit of a cool utility effect. Their top line actually changed quite a bit. They have 2 wounds now. Jesus. Okay. But they're still T6, 3+ save. They're gonna die much quicker. Jeez. All right. I wonder if we can regenerate them back into the unit again, like we could in 9th edition. They can take a bolt cannon, strength 6, AP 2 damage, sustained hits 2. Graviton blast cannon, which is flat 3 shots, non-blast. So it's a blast cannon that does not have blast. Anti-monster, anti-vehicle 3. Ooh, it's anti-monster 3 though. It used to be only anti-vehicle, right? Oh, you'll love to see it. I actually love that shit. I hated it when something was purely anti-vehicle and had literally no utility if you played like Tyranids. But now, so it went from being anti-vehicle 2 to anti-monster, anti-vehicle 3. It is 3 flat damage now. Let's go. Actually, huge. And then SP Conversion Beaver, 2 shots. Unfortunately on 4s, but again, you can get +1 to hit a lot of times. Strength 7, AP 2, 3 damage. So it gained an EP characteristic. It is lethal hits now instead of sustains. That's not bad, though. At strength 7, we can get a lot of hits through, but it's lower attack volume than the Graviton. I think a Graviton Blast Cannon is still just the best. Because the only thing you're bad into is, like, heavy infantry at that point, and you're not even that bad. Unless they're Gravis armor. And even then, you're just like, if you do get a conversion through, you're just killing them. Here's the cool thing, though. They have Breaching Fire. In your shooting phase after this unit has shots, select an enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks until the start of your next shooting phase. The enemy unit loses cover, so they have their immolators now. Absolutely insane. And this actually might give them a use for the bolt cannon, explicitly because it shoots farther. So you can sit them farther back and just ping cover off of people with a unit of 3. Actually, kind of goated. I sort of love that. So, I don't know. Brokhyr, Thunderkyn, they did get significantly easier to kill, but the ability is so much stronger. Rather than unmodified hit rolls of 5 hit on Overwatch. Who cares? We'll talk about transports in a moment, chat, because we have there's a new transport detachment. We'll talk about all of the vehicles and stuff. I want to talk about Hearthkyn warriors real quick. And calls and stuff. So regular Kahl now grants lethal hits and grants you a yield point once per phase when a model from your army with the ability is in a unit that destroys enemy units. So you can double up in the need. Please give me yield point detachment. What's the fuck's it called? Needguard Oathband. A lot of these attachments are just several words stuck together, which I kind of appreciate. Needguard Oathband, so you can gain an additional yield point per phase on top of the Needguard Oathband detachment ability. So you could potentially be getting 2 yield points when you kill somebody. Once per phase with the Kahl. But then also, if you have calls in melee units, like Einhyr Hearthguard, you could potentially be getting 2 yield points in your turn from your calls together, because you could shoot a unit to death, gain a yield point, charge, kill a unit in melee, get a yield point, because the ability is only phase locked. It's not turn locked. He can take a 3 attack power fist. It's 3 damage, strength 8, AP 3 damage. That's solid. Or a 2+ weapon skill plasma axe, strength 5, AP 2 damage. It's just a power weapon, basically. Power mastercrafted power sword. And he can give either a 5+ invulnerable save or deep strike based on what he wants to be doing. Alright. Go down, and I want to talk about Hearthkyn warriors are there. So, regular old Hearthkyn warriors, Panterrestrial scanning gives them reroll hit rolls of 1. Okay, sick. That's very nice. Which is just an ability. It's not a war gear ability. It's not tied to a model. Is that right? Yeah. They just have it. Okay. That's solid. It's a good ability. Plus, they have Feel No Pain 6 from the med pack, I guess. But you no longer need to keep track of who has a med pack. They just have the effect. So they're a T5 battle line infantry unit with OBSEC and a Feel No Pain. Baseline. Baseline. What? I guess the downside is that the Thane has lost his 2nd wound. So we no longer have the 2 wound guy to eat an extra hit inside the unit. Which, to be honest, I appreciate, because it was always annoying. However, Weed Field Crest now affects the entire unit. Okay. Right. So these guys are just a super annoying profile to kill. T5, 5+, like 4+ armor, 5+ invul, and 6+ field out pain on a battle line infantry unit. That's probably going to be like, what, 110 points for 10 or something, and then they split into 5s with Sagitaurs. Okay. Sign me up. Why not? Let's go. Yeah. This is good. This is a good thing. Let's talk about their weapons. So they have bolt pistols, which are bolt pistols, bolters, which are bolters. Okay. They can take up to 2 plasma beamers, which is sustained hits D3, strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage. Or Or I guess the unit can take ion rifles or ion blasters, which are strength 5, AP 2, 1 damage. So higher volume or higher AP. The AP seems good because you're getting rerolls and probably +1 to hit anyway. So your attacks are relatively consistent. We've got we can take a missile launcher. Strength 9, AP 2, D6 damage. A Magna Rail rifle. Strength 12, AP 3, D3 plus 3 damage devastating. It's 18-inch range. Was it 18 previously? I thought it was 24. Oh, it was 18 previously. Okay. That's wild. That throws me every time. Why is it so short? It's a railgun. Isn't the Navy testing to shoot these beyond visual range? We can shoot them over the horizon. Why is this one shoot 18 inches? Wild. Absolutely insane. I guess they don't want to just create little heavy weapon teams, but I don't know. That's pretty silly. With Rural, once they hit, they're a little bit better. Up to 2 can have their gun replaced with a knife, which is strength 4, AP 2, 1 damage. That's actually usually pretty solid. They don't get it when they don't have their rerolls when they shoot, but they will potentially get their +1 to hit. And if you include that with a Thane, you get 6 AP 2 melee attacks into one of your combat squads, which is actually very common when you're playing them in Sagitaur builds. You could get a Thane pistol, which is strength 8, AP 2, 1 damage. Okay. Cool. Or you can take the plasma rifle, but the pistol's almost strictly better. It's just lower range, shorter range slightly. So the heavy weapons as well, you can get a high-last auto rifle, which is up to 6 shots with rapid fire, active, strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage. Rotary cannon is 6 shots baseline, sustained hits. Kind of the same profile, but it's -1 to hit, and it always gets its max attacks. Oh, but it's sustained hits 1, so it's actually the same. So I think you just play the rotary cannons, right? They're not assault, is the downside, but mathematically they're actually slightly better. Because sustained 1 with rerolls is, I think, slightly stronger than +1 to hit. On average, most of the time. And then we talked about the plasma beam and the Magna Rail rifle, yeah. I don't know if I necessarily see these being worse than the baseline option. All the heavy weapons do seem better. It's just the weird 5+ weapon skill stuff. Nice. I don't know. These guys, Hearthkyn warriors seem absolutely goated, to be honest. All of these defensive tech stacked together seems really, really, really good. I do like it. 18 is more than visible for these short guys. Just can't see that far, okay? Their eyes are not very good. They're not very good. Thane warrior choices. You can replace your bolter with an ion blaster or a pistol, and you can equip a melee weapon. I don't know. That's all of the war gear options. So you can keep your gun. You always get the melee. The melee weapon's free. And then you can either keep your gun, one of the guns, or take the pistol, which seems good. So you'd probably take the pistol. Pistol seems kind of goated. Anyway, chat. Something about the crest? I don't understand. The thing just just has a crest. Right? It's just built in. No. It used to be lose gun, take pistol. That's what it is. Well, I guess you get 2 pistols now. Oh, you get 2 pistols. Sick. Let's go. So you have a bolt pistol, and then you also have you get a Thane pistol too. Dual wield. Ba 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 ba. Pew pew. And you get to shoot both of them because they're both pistols. Pistol option's goated. Pistol option's the best one. Full stop. Get him. Sick. Let's go. The pistol is only 6 inches? I have no idea what you're referring to, chat. All right, we're gonna move on. This is silly. Yeah, medpack. They just have the medpack all the time now, which is sick. Dwarf pistols akimbo. I love the idea you like lock these guys in melee. They don't die because they randomly have like an invuln save and a field up pain. And the Thane like shoots 2 guys and then like stabs 2 Space Marines to death because he has like 2 damage melee attacks. The unit champion is actually sick. What a boss! Should we talk about Steeljacks, chance? I think that's one of the last basic units we haven't discussed yet. Oh, I guess Brokhyr Ironmaster. Let's talk about that guy because we should discuss him because we've already talked about the Thunderkyn and a Grimnyr. Oh, let's talk about Grimnyr because he's right here. Grimnyr still has a sick gun. Strength 6, AP 2, D3 damage, 6 shots hazardous. Let's go. And a ward stave, which I think went up in attack. I think he used to swing 1 time with his stick, which is really silly. Yeah, he used to be 1 attack, but now he's 2 attacks. He's doubled his damage output in melee. One of the most prodigious damage increases in Warhammer 40,000. Literal 100% damage increase for the Grimnyr. Let's go. Melee monster now. He grants a 5+ feel no pain, no longer grants +1 toughness, and once per battle you can unbattle shock somebody. Okay. I mean, I think that's fine. 5+ feel no pain is good, I guess, but it's only on 1 wounders, so it doesn't come up that often. The +1 toughness is actually like really annoying sometimes, but they still retain their core embarkation rules though, so we can put them into transports without taking up a trillion occupied slots over here. Grimnyr got taken out back. Well, I mean, 80% of the time, the reason you took a Grimnyr was because he was like 60 points and was 3 OC. And that has not changed. That is the same. His leadership ability is situationally better, but like probably not. So I don't know. I'm gonna call it a side grade. It's like, in many cases, a downgrade for Strength 5 and Strength 6 guns, but you are harder to kill in literally every other situation, so... And I guess Strength 10 it kills them more easily now, too. But any 1 wound damage you are taking significantly less hits from. Alright, moving down. Let's talk about the Brokhyr Ironmaster. So he can lead Hearthkyn warriors and Brokhyr Thunderkyn. He grants reroll wound rolls of 1. So if you're in a Hearthkyn warrior unit, you get hit and wound rerolls. Okay. Is that good? Probably not. They're still warriors, so they're not doing that much damage, but seems fine. Well, you're within 3 inches of 1 or more League of Votann, Ironkin, or Ironkin Steeljack units, and not attached, you gain Lone Operative. Sick. We love to see it. And then at the end of your movement phase, you can repair a Votann Votann vehicle, exoframe, or Ironkin Steeljack units. You regain lost wounds, or flat 3 if you have a Ironkin assistant, but you cannot regenerate models back. Regenerating exoframe units sounds hilarious because they only have 2 wounds. Good thing I can repair 3 wounds on a unit with 2 wounds. Woo! Let's go. Not super exciting. Does he have good guns though and stuff? He's a bullet pistol. He himself comes with a Graviton rifle, which is 3 shots, strength 5, AP1, 3 damage, anti-monster, anti-vehicle 3. It's a solid profile. The AP is a little bit low, but that's probably fine. If you strip cover from people with the Brokhyr Thunderkyn, it's good. AP1's fine. We have a laser cutter on the Ironkyn assistant, which is a 6-inch gun. Who cares? And then he is... Oh, he's sick in melee. Anti-monster, anti-vehicle 3, strength 9, AP1, 3 damage. It's only weapon skill 4, but you're probably getting +1 to hit, so he's probably hitting on 3s. Yeah, he's solid. He doesn't seem like absolutely wild to me, but reroll wounds at 1 is pretty good. Especially if we can gain, like, if we can find hit reroll somewhere on Brokhyr Thunderkyn, they can actually kind of go crazy. All right. Let's talk about. We'll talk about We'll do a Hearthband section. We'll talk about Hearthguard units. And we'll talk about Steeljacks momentarily. So there's 2 Steeljack datasheets. There's a melee datasheet and a ranged datasheet, which I like because they get different abilities. Whoa! All right off the bat. So we get up to units of 6. They can take Vulcanite Disintegrators for 6 strength 6 AP1 devastating. So 36 shots for a full unit at 24 inches. Okay. And we're T6, 2 plus 3 wounds. Jesus. Okay. If we find a way to get wound rerolls on these guys, they're absolutely insane.
Ryan G donated $2 through Super Chat. Memnyr Strategist.
Yeah, we'll talk about him once we go through the unit he attaches to, for sure. Each time you target Einhyr Steeljacks with a Overwatch, this was spoiled earlier. You get 5+ critical hits. If your army has fortified takeover, you get 4+ critical hits, or 4+ hits. Excuse me, instead. That's fine. I mean, 18 hits on average out of a full unit overwatching is pretty good. You're probably getting 3 devastating damage through. So like once you're in fortified takeover, this ability is actually kind of good, just because they shoot so many times. But most of the time, this ability is not that amazing. But in this case, it might be okay. I don't know. Melee Steeljacks. Each time an enemy unit within engaged range falls back, it must take a desperate escape check. Okay. Who cares? Okay, it excludes monsters and vehicles. The only things that would matter when you take desperate escapes. Alright, whatever. We can... Let's see. Everybody has a plasma sword, and any number of models can take a concussion gauntlet, which is strength 10, AP 2, 2 damage. Only 3 attacks, though, lethal hits, but 3 attacks hitting on 4s rather than 6 attacks hitting on 3s. I guess we'd have to see sort of where things fall out in terms of synergies for these guys, but it does feel like the melee profile is better. Although, we're talking about a melee profile that's almost the same as the gun profile from these guys, who have a much more relevant ability. So I feel like we're probably just on melee Steeljacks, or ranged Steeljacks, unless we really need a melee unit. Maybe they're cheap. They're cheap for a tanky unit with like a solid melee profile. That'd actually be kind of sweet. And then they have the Primarch crest, the most forgettable ability in the universe. On critical wounds, you targeting enemies on objective markers, you gain precision. Cool. So we have 2 hoops to jump through to gain the worst keyword. Sick. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Whatever. Be cool if they gain like ignore cover or something. That'd be kind of sweet. But I guess that you'd have to do something different for the melee unit. Also, wait, their bolt pistols have 2 shots also. Sick. Okay. Means they can just they can shoot them more easy because they're a big robot. I think the gun Steeljacks actually seem kind of sweet. If we can source wound rerolls, one sec. I assume Hekaton land fortresses have changed. They have. Okay, good. All right. We can't source any like fire support for those guys. That would be disgusting. We're talking about the Strategists again. Rerolls to trigger more devastating wounds. Strategist at the end. So he attaches to Steeljacks. Steeljacks only. Literally just Steeljacks with Vulcanite Disintegrators or with melee. At the end of your command phase, before you determine if your units from your army have hostile acquisition or fortified takeover for each objective mark you control, that is 1 or more units on this ability, you can spend 1 yield point or gain 1 yield point. At the end of your command phase, before you determine if units from your army have hostile acquisition or fortified takeover, for each objective mark you control that has 1 or more models with this ability and range of it, you can gain 1 yield point. Oh, okay, so he just sits on your back home objective, and you can manipulate your yield point total. And then once per battle round, you get Heroic Intervention or Overrush for free, which is fine. Yeah, if this guy's not expensive, he's like kind of a tally man. So then you're gaining 3 yield points battle round 1 and 5 yield points every other battle round. So you're actually just in hostile takeover or fortified takeover round 2, or top 3, I guess. Okay, plants coming together. Alright. Okay, Memnyr Strategist. I don't even know if I'm going to attach you to anything. I think you just vibe at the back, which honestly is what he looks like he's doing.
Jace donated £2 through Super Chat. All the dev wounds from Steeljacks get precision.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah, that's a good call. So you could just choose if you kill the character, if you could see it. So like 1 in 10 games, you might actually get some sweet benefit from that. All right. I'll buy that for the melee or for the ranged guys specifically. The precision might be okay, which is pretty cool. He's 45 points in the codex. Free Overwatch with Ironkyn seems good. You cannot attach him to Ironkyn, or to excuse me, you can attach him to Ironkyn. You can't attach him to Thunderkyn. It is good, but it requires his ability requires that he stands on an objective. So I think you would be hard pressed to construct a situation where this dude is like, you're getting value from your Steeljacks while not like you're getting value from your Steeljacks and also are always on an objective to in start of your turn to like generate things with stuff with this guy. So it feels like you just attach him and it sits in the corner, unless he has a really good enhancement that you want to give them potentially, because you could give them enhancements for like. There's like the +1 to wound one that we just looked at in Needguard. So that could be good. Although, realistically, we're going to put that on a column. We're going to put it in an Einhyr Hearthguard unit almost assuredly, right? Oh, you can give him Dead Reckoning, and then he gains an additional yield point.
Brokhyr donated £2 through Super Chat. Do yield points replace judgment tokens?
Baruku, yes. Judgment tokens are entirely gone. That mechanic has been stripped away. There is no judgment now. It is a judgment-free zone. We are simply here to make money. Which, you know, very appropriate. Yeah, so that would be the good one in this one. We haven't looked at the other detachments yet, but I think it's time. I think that's all the basic sort of unkeyword units. So let's go through the no more book-only profits. Yeah, listen, the book is a ledger. It's a ledger of how much money we're making, okay? Let's hop in. We'll go down the list now. We'll talk about Brandfast Oathband. So this is the vehicle and transport detachment. Detachment abilities, kind of sick. Excuse me, got something in my throat. Well, an infantry unit is wholly within 6 inches of a transport. Important to note, not just within 6 inches, wholly within 6 inches. So every model in the unit has to be entirely within 6 of the vehicle, which it will happen if you have moved the vehicle and then disembarked. So that's like, I think, the idea. That will automatically be the case. But you can also just like run a unit up and then run a transport next to them too, if you have the opportunity. It also like doesn't care if you were actually embarked to the transport. It doesn't care if the transport is full. So if you just have a bunch of Sagitaurs running around, they could always be providing this. You gain sustained hits 1, which is sweet. Enhancements: Tactical Alchemy, which is a great name. Call models only in your command phase if you're within range of 1 or more objective markers you control, not within your deployment zone. You can spend a yield point. If you roll a d6 on a 4+, you gain a CP. What? Okay. So you have to hold your expansion objective and spend a yield point for the chance to get a command point. I don't know. Trivarg, Cyber Implant. In your shooting phase, each time a bear's unit is selected to shoot, if it disembarks, you transport this turn, or if you spend 2 yield points until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the sustained hits 2. Let's go! That's actually sick. I have a suspicion a lot of these are going to be really dumb on Hearthguard units, but I haven't looked at their data sheet yet, so we'll see. But also you could use that on the Steeljacks for sure. But when you're shooting 36 times, sustained hits 2 is actually sick. Precursive Judgment. Well, you're wholly within 6 inches of 1 or more transports. You can fire Overwatch for 0, and you hit on unmodified 5-ups. That's fine. And then Signature Restoration, Iron Masters only. Oh, this is also call only. Each time a Leagues of Votann model is repaired, it regains 1 additional lost wound. That's also fine. Okay. Enhancements are kind of mid. The sustained hits 2 one's really good, but the other ones, you know. Stratagems. Secure positions. The end of any phase. If you have hostile acquisition, you target 1 transport unit from your army. A Votann unit embarked within your transport can disembark when doing so. The unit can be set up anywhere on the battlefield, wholly within 6 inches. What the fuck? This stratagem rules. Wait, excuse me. Any phase at all. Any phase. It doesn't require it to be your turn. What? So you have hostile act. So this is why the Memnyr lets you burn through yield points, because you want to like stay in hostile acquisition for this stratagem. So like at the end of your opponent's fight phase, you can just disembark an entire unit of OC2 infantry onto their objective, or you can do it at the end of their shooting phase after all their stuff is shot, and then you just get to move and you get extra disembarkation range. This stratagem is insane. What the fuck? Or you like end of their shooting, you like disembark to threaten an intervention with like Chthonian Beserks or something. Holy shit! The use case of this is crazy. You can disembark at the end of, I guess like it's hard to disrupt their scoring with it, but you can disembark end of your fight phase to mess with their scoring. But then they get their command phase stuff to do, so I don't know. Yeah. Because I think your opponent can probably sequence level of control to be... Actually, I'm not 100% sure how that works. I think you can, if you disembark end of command, I think you can sequence level of control to check before these guys disembark. And then victory point scoring is always checked at the end. But you wouldn't have controlled the objective. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go double check what the level of control sequencing rules are. But in any case, being able to basically rapid ingress out of your transports is crazy. That's super duper good. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, you could advance then disembark even, potentially, right? You could do all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah. That's cool. Bastion running. You can move land fortresses through terrain features. Let's go! Let's go! It's only land fortresses, though. It doesn't work on Sagitaurs. Only big boy. Only big boy punch through wall. That's a sick ability, though. That's incredibly strong. Illuminated priority. Your shooting phase after Leagues of Votann vehicle has shot. Select an enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time a League of Votann infantry model from your army makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, reroll hit rolls of 1. That's fine, I guess. That's a good ability. It's just kind of takes some setup. Your shooting phase, you can be eligible to shoot a turn which you fell back. Okay, cool. You can't charge, so it's slightly worse than Needguard. But it's wait, is that a no, okay, that's not a reference, that's something. I thought it was something, but it's not. Yeah, it works on anything. Doesn't have to be vehicles. And the timing's also really good. It's in your shooting phase, so you can see what the rest of your army has done before you decide to use the stratagem. It's not start of the phase, and it's not in the movement phase at all. Which is the best timing for these. Using them immediately before you decide to act with the unit is huge. Opportunistic escalation. In your opponent's shooting phase after an enemy has shot, if you have hostile acquisition, a non-Hekaton Land Fortress Votann vehicle can move up to d6 inches. That's good. You could move up to d6 inches and then secure position at the end of the phase. Take their objective. If you're like 12 inches away from a Sagitaur and you shoot it and you do 1 damage, and it just runs up and then disembarks on your objective. That's gonna happen to somebody in a tournament, and they're gonna freak the fuck out. They're gonna be like, "This is so stupid. I hate this," and then they're gonna gain yield points from it. And then they're not gonna be able to do that anymore because they don't have hostile acquisition. There's also only 2 ways to, besides the Memnyr Strategist, there's only 2 ways to spend yield points in this army. Which is this enhancement. Oh, there's this one too, I guess. Oh, okay. So this is actually much better than we considered, because almost all of the detachment benefits rely on you having hostile acquisition. So if you want to be burning CP if you can, or yield points, excuse me, if you can, to try to keep yourself below 7. So that spending a yield point is actually not really a cost here, it's a benefit. That's so funny. I love this attachment. This is fun. Oh, man. Vengeance Flare! Venganza! Your opponent's shooting phase after an immune is shot. An infantry unit hit by one or more of those attacks. You can use the stratagem. Select a friendly Kapricus or Sagitaur within 6 inches. If you spend yield points, you can select one Hekaton Land Fortress within 6. Instead, you get the shooting phase. Okay, so they supporting fire for their infantry. A Sagitaur shooting for 2 CP is probably not that exciting, but a whole Hekaton Land Fortress is. Which actually seems kind of sweet. And it costs you 2 yield points, which is cool. This attachment's really cool. It seems a little straightforward. Like, it's not really improving your damage at all, besides this sustained hits thing. And sustained 1 on infantry, I guess, is good. It also only affects ranged attacks with everything. It doesn't... There's no melee bonuses. But, like, if you have, like, a bunch of Hernkyn, or a Hearthkyn, or Einhyr Hearthguard, excuse me, getting, like, hit rerolls of 1, sustained hits 2, or sustained 1, they just deep strike next to a vehicle, and then they shoot. Or the Steeljacks getting, like, a bunch of sustains and stuff. But it's okay. Moving land fortresses through walls is huge, though. That's big. That's big. Uthar yield points here, so you should, yeah. That's true. We can burn it on Uthar too. That's when you bring calls to unlock the abilities, but you're like, I could use this ability to get a yield point, but I don't wanna. I just don't want to gain yield when I kill people. Cool. This detachment's cool. Let's talk about the vehicles. Shall we? Shall we, chats? Sagitaur TV. Went down to T9. Oh. My heart goes out to all my Votann comrades. This thing is dramatically easier to kill. Actually, unironically, kind of importantly, T9 instead of 10. They were really annoyingly hard to kill, which I'm okay with them dying a little more easily. They're like basically free, and they have a bunch of guns, so it's fine. You can advance and disembark with them, which is good. You just can't charge, otherwise you act normally. They gain either the top gun is either a high blast beam cannon, 2 shots, strength 12, AP 3, D6 plus 1, literally just a last cannon that shoots 24 inches. A Matter autocannon, 6 shots, 7, 1, 2, sustained 1, or a missile launcher. They lost sustained hits off the beam cannon entirely. Right? Yeah, because it used to be sustained D3. Sagitaur dramatically worse. The autocannon just gains sustain, so it's like basically +1 to hit. And the the bolt cannon got a little bit better. Let's see, the missile launcher is strength 10, AP 3 damage. It used to be strength 12. Wow. Okay. Poor Sagitaur. I would ask what he did to deserve this, but we know. We know. Yeah, but the benefit, one upside, bolt cannon went up to sustained hits 2 instead of sustained hits 1, so it is a little bit better. Oh, and it lost scout. Oh my god. Holy shit. Whoa. Okay, they ripped the guts out of the Sagitaur. It was 115 before. I bet they could get away with like 95 now, though. Its damage output is dramatically worse and it doesn't scout and it's easier to kill. I bet they're cheaper. Unless they keep them at 115 and they're just like get fucked, I guess. But it would shock me if they weren't less expensive. Which I guess is a side grade, right? If that happens. It has a transport capacity of 6 infantry. It cannot transport exo armor, exo frame, or steeljack. And then you can split specifically Hearthkyn warriors, which you will be doing. You probably still take them for the Hearthkyn anyway. Like, I think that having a dedicated transport with a bunch of guns on it that lets you combat squad is good enough, especially with how torqued the Hearthkyn warrior datasheet is. So I think these guys aren't going anywhere, I don't think. You might not see 6 of them in every list. It's probably for the best. Hekaton Land Fortress, where are you at? Hekaton Land Fortress. So T12, 16 wounds, 2+ save, 5 OC, basically the same top line profile. It's a land raider with extra steps. Yep, literally didn't change at all. It's ranged weapons, so it can it has 2 bolt cannons and 2 twin bolt cannons, right? Yeah, 2 bolt cannons. Oh no, just 2 twin bolt cannons, excuse me. And you can replace them with ion beamers, which are D3 +1 blast, twin length, strength 8, AP 2, 1 damage. They used to be sustained hits, strength 7, but flat 3 shots. I understand, like, cutting down the ridiculous sustained that the weird sustained sub-theme that previous Votann had. It does not feel like this is quite as much of an improvement. Yeah, I don't know. D3 +1, you are averaging more shots. It's just less damage. More shots at higher AP. It's just less damage because you don't have the than you did previously, I should say. You just don't have the multi damage off of the twin bolt cannon. But the twin bolt cannon being sustained hits 2 now should basically full convert all of its hits. And then with twin linked, it's like pushing a lot of saves onto you, so that might still be the way to go. It's has a cyclic ion cannon, which is D6 +2 shots, strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage. Yeah. You can take a heavy conversion beamer, which is lethal hits, critical 4+, not within 12, strength 10, AP 2, 4 damage. Low. Ew. Low. Very low AP, and it lost ignore cover. But you can get it back with Brokhyr Thunderkyn. I guess that they're trying to get you to play 3 mans of Brokhyr Thunderkyn to strip cover from things, probably. And having those in, like, just inside land fortresses to hop out and just like ping something to make the big guns work better is good. So, like, I don't know. You can't spike out people with like 20 damage from the conversion beamers, but a 4+ lethal hit's actually not too bad. Or you can take a heavy Magna Rail Cannon, which is devastating wound, heavy 8, strength 18, AP 4, D6 +4. It's 2 shots. I think that's what we're playing now, chat. Ooh, it's the same attack. Oh no, the heavy conversion beaver shoots 4 times. Holy shit. Okay. Okay. Ooh, man, I don't know which one to take. 4 shots, 4 damage, lethal 4-up, or 2 shots, D6 +4 damage. 2 shots with probably +1 to hit and reroll once. You can take a missile launcher, which is strength 7, AP 2, 1 shot, or you can take the reroll once to hit, which is probably what you're going to do, but I'm not sure. D6 +3, strength 7, AP 2 is like good. Reroll once to hit is not as exciting as ignore cover, but it is pretty strong. I don't know. Yeah, no longer indirect anyway. Yeah, unfortunately. No fire support either. So this doesn't, outside of playing the vehicle detachment, this doesn't support its infantry whatsoever. They're just along for the ride. I don't know how to feel about this, chat. Losing ignore cover is fucking so big. But on the flip side, it has a transport capacity of 14. So we could put an exo. Exo frame takes 2 models, 2 spaces instead of 3. Oh shit. Oh shit. So you could put 2 3s or a full 6 of Brokhyr Thunderkyn inside this guy. So you could rock up a land fortress and just start bouncing exo frame guys out to strip cover from enemies anyway. You could also take, like, we can't quite take, like, Steeljacks and something else. I don't know what the loadout would be. It would be like a 5-man. You could take like Steeljacks and a champion as like a melee baiter or something. Getting Thunderkyn up in the middle of the fight is actually kind of important, I think, because I bet stripping cover is going to be huge here, because that like turns on all the little guns like in a big way. Oh, I mean, I think they lost fire support because I think of the Ironkin. The Steeljacks would be so fucking torqued. It'd be so stupid. If you shoot 36 devastating wounds with wound rerolls and like sustain hits too, let's go, boys. That'd be incredible, absolutely incredible. But I mean, transporting Steeljacks is going to be big. Steeljacks could honestly just like strategic reserve. They shoot far enough. I don't know if they necessarily need to be, if they necessarily need to be transported. But like palling along Brokhyr Thunderkyn to get them into positions to hit things that you want the big guns to target is going to be big. So I think that there is definitely a universe where we take like 2 units of 3 inside this guy, and they just hang around, and then they're like little utility guys that hop out. Yep, I don't know. Land Fortress does seem okay, chat. I don't know if it's quite as exciting as the previous reincarnation, but it seems more consistent, which I think is what people are looking for. Because the previous codex was like very inconsistent. It was basically it was like the picture of inconsistency for sure. Should we talk about the new thing? What the fuck is it called? The Kapricus is the new guy. Oh, we didn't talk about the little science man. We'll talk about him in a sec. Kapricus Defender. Little tiny vehicle. It's a flying vehicle. It's move 12. T7. Ooh. T7, 7 wounds. Oh, okay. This is just a stiff breeze away from exploding. It's Scout 9. Okay. 7 wounds, OC2. It can take a high-last rotary cannon, a Magna Rail cannon, strength 14, AP 4, D3 plus 3 damage. Hits on a 4, but it's heavy. And then twin autocannon. Okay. Yeah, I'd have to math what the best option there is. Rotary cannon gets higher hit volume through, but the Magna Rail cannon's spicier. I don't know. It can take a smoke launcher, which you might as well. You can take up to 2 in a unit, which is kind of cute. So you can actually be shooting kind of a volume out of these guys. Oh, the autocannon is free. Excuse me. So they just have the autocannon. They're like a big biker. They're like a giant, huge biker. They're sort of they're almost literally the Votann equivalent of an Invader ATB. Actually, I think like explicitly. They're T7 instead of 5, which just makes sense because they're like Votann tend to be higher toughness but lower save, and they're just to save 4 instead of 3, and they're 1 less wound, and they're the same OC. They're literally just a Votann Invader ATV. I think I had not really parsed exactly what this thing's gonna do. That means these might be cheap as fuck. These might be like 70 points or 80 points or something, like 75 or something. That would be crazy. Big thing is in your shooting phase, after they have shot, they can make a normal move up to D6 inches and then not be eligible to charge. So if you could give them, if you have a way to give them advance and shoot, they actually move 1,000,000 inches because they can move 12 plus 2d6. Otherwise, they're just very maneuverable. Like scout, move, shoot, move again. They're like tomb blades. They're like big, giant vehicle tomb blades. Being big does not help their case, unfortunately, because this is a unit that wants to be small. But I don't know. That's very interesting. What an interesting profile. I can't imagine they're that good, but maybe the points are right. Just because of how big they are. Because they're on like a big oval, right? We get a picture. Here it is. This is probably like the medium-sized oval that like the big AOS cavalry are on, I bet. Also, what is I just went on Lex. I got this. I like Googled the Kapricus Defender. I went on Lexicanum. I don't know if you can see this chat. What is this? Who is this person? Who is this person? Why are they on Lexicanum? What the fuck? Is that an integration? I don't think so. That's bizarre. What am I looking at? Little aside there. Anyway. So that's gotta be like, that's what, like the 90 mil by 60 or something? So it's not that big. Looks like the Outrider base. Is it the same oval as the bikes? If they're the same size as the bikes, this thing's actually sick. If it's a big, huge oval, then it's gonna be tough. Google has said both 80 and 100 mil. Like long, I guess. Yeah. I bet it's on like the slightly larger oval. For sure.
Ryan G donated $2 through Super Chat. AI has shown Trevia's desired form as an advert.
That's me. That's me, chat. That's my alter ego. Is this? I don't know. I don't know what this is. Some sort of submarine technician. She definitely, I don't know, works in the CIC in either a spaceship or an undersea vehicle. For sure. Weird. The internet's a strange place, chat. So is it an ad? Because it's not advertising anything. That's the weird part. It's not a link, and it has no logos or text on it. And it's also on Lexicanum, which I've never seen run, like, behind the fold ads like that. I've never seen that before. They've always just had their, like, kind of slate, like, beige. Anyway. I don't know. Kapricus Defender. What an interesting data sheet. If they're cheap, it's going to be great. If they're expensive, it's going to be too flimsy and not very useful, and probably too large. They're vehicles, so they have to pay 2 for rotation, which is going to be a little bit weird because they're on ovals. If they could just flip around easily, that would be one thing, but I don't know. Kapricus Carrier is the other one. Kapricus Carrier is the same top line profile, Scout 9, firing deck 5. They come with a Magnacoil autocannon and a twin Magnacoil autocannon, so the hull-mounted one plus another non-twin linked one. Their damage output is actually not significantly worse than the Carrier. They lose sustained 1 and 3 shots on their top gun if they don't take the Magna Rail. They just don't get the smoke launcher. Oh, they do get a smoke launcher. Just give them the fucking smoke launcher. Why is this an option? That's so stupid. In your shooting phase, after it hits shot, select a non-monster, non-vehicle unit. Until the start of your next turn, it is suppressed. While it's suppressed, it gets -1 to be hit. That's situational, but sometimes useful. Not working on monsters and vehicles is very unfortunate, but maybe it would be too strong. It has a transport capacity of 5 Hernkyn Yaegirs, and it can split the Hernkyn Yaegirs into 2 units of 5 at the start, which is great. I think the Kapricus Carrier is probably going to be very playable. I assume it's not hyper expensive. It's probably in the 70-ish point range, 70 to 80, and it gets you a combat squad on a unit that really, really appreciates being combat squatted, as well as a little support ability. Plus, it's a scout with a huge scout value. So, the Kapricus Carrier seems really, really good. Yeah. Anyway, pretty good. I don't know. Plus, you can trigger the transport synergies with these guys just being around because they're transports. So if you're playing the transport detachment, having 1 or 2 of these guys just to give you sustained hits is pretty good because they're just providing their keyword. You don't really need them to do anything. So I like it. The defender, I don't know. I think we'd have to see points and stuff, but the other one seems sweet. That's transports. Should we move on to Chthonians? I think it's Chthonian time, chat. I like... I love this detachment just because of the name. It's not an assault force. It's not an assault group. It's not an assault, I don't know, company. It's a shift. They're just doing their shift in the mines, chat. And this time, the mine is your skull. And they're going to extract all the value they can from it. It's a perfect name. First of all, Cthonian Beserks Gate Battle Line. I haven't read their datasheet yet, but that sounds absolutely fucking horrifying. I'm going to turn my microphone down. I feel like I'm being a little loud. Hopefully I'm not scratchy today. I notice I'm on my laptop right now. My laptop does it does not process audio quite as well as my desktop does, so I always see it sound a little echoey. Cthonian Beserks gain Deep Strike. Oh, okay. That's pretty good. We don't necessarily need transports to get them into the battlefield. We can just do it with coming out of reserve. We can rapid ingress them. That's actually kind of sweet. A little underwhelming, I guess, but very strong. Enhancements. Delve Werk Navigator. Votann model only. In your reinforcements of your command phase, you can use this enhancement. If you do, select one Chthonian Berserk unit visible to the bearer. Spend any number of yield points. Return one model to that unit. Then, for every 2 yield points, return one additional model to the unit. Whoa! What? That's sick. So, reinforcement 7 movement phase, you get to heal a Chthonian Berserk, full stop, if you can see that. Then, you can spend yield points to heal any number of additional Chthonian Berserks that you want. That's freaking sick. We'll have to look at what Chthonian Beserks do, because previously there were 2 ones in the field open. And that was really annoying to kill. And so regenerating those guys, especially regenerating Mole Mortar carriers, is like, oh god. Oh boy, that's going to be really powerful. Multi-wave System Jammer. Once for battle in your movement phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, you can use this enhancement. If it does, select one Chthonian unit that is in reserves. Until the end of the phase, for the purposes of setting that unit up on the battlefield, treat the battle round as higher than being one higher as it actually is. So we can strat reserve or deep strike turn 1. Ooh. On any Chthonian unit. So it works on the mortar guys too. Oh, these are good, dude. Quake Supervisor. The other cool thing is that you can like eat shots with rapid ingresses out of deep strike. You can just deep strike rapid ingress into the front of one of your opponent's units, eat the hits, and then just regenerate the unit with Delve Navigator, and then be like, "Fuck it, we ball." you can't kill me as long as you make sure that they can't one shot you. You just heal the unit back to full, and then you're like, "Let's go." Assuming you have enough yield points, obviously. This. So far, so good. Quake Supervisor. While the bear is within 3 inches of one or more Votann artillery units, so the Earthshaker guys, the bear has lone operative, and each time one of those artillery units makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy visible to bear, add 1 to the hit rolls. We haven't learned from Tenderless Emissions, chat. We have to do it again. Pretty good. That probably lets you just, like, drop that dude out in front of the ruin that the artillery's hiding in, or whatever, and then he can give you +1 to hit. You can hit all your indirect on 4s. Oh, excuse me. Pile Driver. Each time the bear's unit is selected to fight, you can use the enhancement. You spend 2 yield points until the end of the phase. Up to 2 yield points until the end of the phase. Add the number of yield points you just spend to the damage characteristic of melee weapons. Let's go. we could have our call get in there where they damage 5 concussion gauntlet. I kind of love these abilities. Spend points to do trillions of damage is really cool. I also just love characters hitting for a truckload, so maybe I'm biased. I don't know. Do you run 3 strategists here? So the strategists are pretty good. You can also do like, I don't know, maybe. Probably strategists. The strategists, I believe, do not stack their yield point gain ability. It checks. Let me verify what I'm saying here real quick. I believe that the Memnyr strategist checks the. Well, we haven't talked about Scientist Man. He might be the way to do too. It checks the number of objectives that have strategists on it, not the strategists themselves. Yeah, each objective marker you control that has one or more models with the computational mastermind ability. So if you have 3 Memnyr strategists on your home objective, you only gain 1 yield point. So they don't stack themselves. So getting a bunch of Memnyr strategists is not great. But you're almost certainly going to have a Memnyr strategist anyway, I feel like. And so having a dude who could just caddy one of these enhancements is huge. Stratagems. Let's talk about them. Cyberstim Infusion, a Cthonian Berserk unit from your army that has not been selected to fight. Each time you use a stratagem, you can spend 2 yield points. Till the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. If you spend yield points, you get full reroll wound rolls instead. 1 CP, 2 yield points, full wound rerolls. Okay. You know what? Why not? Unstoppable Force. A Votann unit can pile in or consolidate up to 6 inches. That's always good. Augmented Assault. Cthonian Berserk unit from your army in your movement phase that has not been selected to move. You can spend up to 2 yield points. Until the end of the turn, add X to the movement characteristic, where X is the number of yield points you spent. And your unit is eligible to advance and charge. So 1 CP, 2 yield points, plus 2 movement, advance and charge. Oh my god. Okay. Also, that's movement phase, not like command or anything. So you could disembark and transport. So you can get 3 inches disembark, 7-inch move, advance and charge. They just bound. They're practically bounding. Tectonic Fracture. After a Chthonian Earthshaker unit has shot. Dude, if the Chthonian Berserk datasheet is very good, this detachment is busted. Oh my god. Each time you use a stratagem, you can spend 2 yield points, select 1 enemy unit hit by 1 or more of your unit's attacks until the start of the unit's phase. Subtract 2 from the movement characteristic, and if you spend yield points, subtract 2 from charge rolls. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. Tremor Shell. It's just Tremor Shells. They're back. They're back, chat. No. We did so well. We went so long without being Tremor Shelled. And it has occurred again. Oh my god. Weave Work Buttress. They said butt. Your opponent's shooting phase after an enemy unit is selected, its targets. If your units from your army have hostile acquisition, an infantry unit selected as the target of the attacks get -1 to be wounded. And listen, with these stratagems, you are likely to be in hostile acquisition because we are fucking rocking. Also, hostile acquisition, I am reminded, gives reroll advance and charge rolls. So like, you get all of this stuff from Augmented Assault, and you are rerolling all of your advance and charge rolls for free. So you kind of want to be in hostile acquisition here, and then you get -1 to be wounded. Full stop. Any infantry. It works at fucking like Hearthguard, dude. Oh my god. Hidden access ways. Enter your opponent's fight phase. Cthonian Beserks, Hearthkyn warriors, or Hernkyn Yaegirs can get up downs. Oh boy, this detachment seems incredible. Maybe I'm. I don't know. Well, let's see what Chthonian Beserks do, chat. Because oh boy, that is some spicy meatballs. Where are they at? Come back, Chthonian Beserks. There they are. All right, you ready? Oh, they're 1 wound. Oh, they're 1 wound. They're not 2 wounds. They have a 4+ field opening though. God damn it! Oh my! And you can regen them, so you can take casualties and then extend their threat range by regenning them. Oh my god. Okay. So they are not quite as difficult to kill, but they are annoying. Annoying as hell to kill. 4+ field opening and a lot of against 1 damage weapons is going to be like just fucking impossible. With the situational -1 of wounds. T6 as well. Were they T6 previously or are they T5? They're T5, right? T5 2 wounds, yeah. T5 2 wounds with a 5+ field pain. So they got +1 toughness and +1 field pain for a wound, which is worse. But it is much closer to a side grade than it feels like. All right. The Mole Grenade Launcher is D6 shots, blast, and direct fire, strength 5 AP1. And it... If you get hit by it, you cannot fire Overwatch. That's actually very good. Oh, excluding monsters and vehicles? Come on! It's fire. Oh, it's Overwatch manipulation. Let them bounce Overwatch off of monsters. Who cares? Who cares? Let them have their day. They're all weapon skill 4, which is a little bit awkward. Were they used to have a weapon skill 3 melee attack, right? Okay. Yeah, their axe used to be weapon skill 3. So the axe went from... The axe used to have a sweep attack profile, too. The axe is significantly worse. So it went from strength 6 to strength 7. Oh, it went from 2 to 3 damage. Okay. Okay. Or they take a Maul, which is anti-monster, anti-vehicle 3, which is probably what you're playing, to be honest. Or they take Twin Concussion Gauntlets, which is strength 9, APT 2 damage, but twin linked. That one's also seems good, because it has a higher attack volume, too. It used to be AP 1, so it got an extra AP as well. So some melee side grades, I guess. Maul being 5/2/3 anti-monster, anti-vehicle is like kind of goated. Yeah, that seems like the thing to do for me. Maul or Gauntlet feels right to me. I don't know. I'm actually, yeah. I guess you would take that plasma axe if you wanted to punch through like heavy infantry or something. But the Mauls feel like good enough at doing that. You just play that anyway. And honestly, the Concussion Gauntlet having a higher volume is great. So, for 5 balls in the unit, one not equipped with a grenade launcher can have a concussion gauntlet. So it's an optional inclusion. Okay, it's a heavy weapon basically. And then for every 5 balls in the unit, somebody who doesn't have a concussion gauntlet or a grenade launcher can have a grenade launcher. It just makes them bigger. It no longer improves their wounds and attacks. All right. So, their base move 6 now though. This datasheet is like totally different. They also get 4+ fight on death. They get +1 to fight on death if they have fortified takeover, which they might because they spend a bunch of yield points and then they take all your objectives, and then in your command phase they gain a bunch of yield points. So this is like a totally different datasheet now. Wild. It's definitely not quite as spooky as it was previously. I'm not getting the same spooky vibes as I was where it was from previous Cthonian Beserks. So the Berserk detachment's probably fine, right? However, it does deliver melee units incredibly easily. And if these dudes aren't super expensive, what were they previously? They were 20 points per model. If they go down a little bit, I think it's actually going to be sweet. Oh, fucking anti-monster, anti-vehicle, 3 damage melee attacks. I don't know. Whoa! Let's run 60. Let's go! Let's go! Look at the designer's note. If a Cthonian Berserk is equipped with a Mole Grenade Launcher, it will be accompanied by an LCOG. Both models should be placed in the same base, and they act as a single model. I don't know if that's weird. That's pretty reasonable, I think. Yeah, they were 2 wounds with a worse field pain. Now they're higher toughness and lower wins. So they are situationally easier to kill. Although 4+ field pain still thinks like they'll just scam you a lot of times. They don't get any, besides the army ability, they don't get any accuracy buffs, right, in the whole detachment. They can just get wound rerolls. Which is actually kind of like anti-synergy, because like half their unit's going to reroll wounds anyway. And then... Yeah, so they are largely just hitting on 3s. So they could just like, or even 4s sometimes. So they could just miss in a lot of instances. So like their profile's kind of inconsistent, but like it's such high damage, it might not matter. I don't know. They can have 2 mole launchers for 5? No. For every 5 models, 1 model can have a mole grenade launcher. Yeah, I don't know, chat. I still think this detachment's probably going to be pretty good anyway. Because, like, you don't have to go all in Cthonian Berserks. Like, you could play 60, but you think you play, like, 30 or 40, and then the rest of the list is, like, just regular stuff, right? You have a couple of Sagittars, a couple units to rapid ingress around and regenerate, and then you can play, like, Hearthguard with -1 to be wounded, which feels really good. So, I don't know. Let's talk about Earthshakers. Earthshakers! So it's artillery, infantry, move 4, T6, 6 wounds, 4+ save. We get bolt pistols, and then either they take breacher ordnance or tremor shells. Both of them are 5+ ballistic skill, indirect fire. Breacher ordnance only shoots 24 inches, so it's very short range. D6 +1 blast, heavy. So they hit on 4s. If they stay still, they hit on 3s, sort of. If they target an enemy on an objective, and then that with indirect fire, that would go back to 4s because that offsets the -1. So you probably don't need the enhancement for +1 to hit because they're already gaining +1 to hit. If it increased ballistic skill, it would be okay. Their damage is not phenomenal though. Strength 10, AP 1/2 damage, or tremor shells are D6 +4, strength 6, AP 1/1 damage, but at a longer range. After the unit has shot, select an enemy unit hit by one or more of the attacks. It takes a battle shock check. Okay. Or twice per battle in your shooting phase, when it's selected to shoot, it can use the Geomantic Hunter ability. Geomantic Hunter? Okay. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in the unit makes an attack with breacher ordnance. So if you don't take tremor shells, you can reroll wounds. Okay. Which is honestly probably the most like value you're going to get out of them. But it's only AP 1. You could use Thunderkyn to strip cover. So you get AP 1 ignore cover. That's still not a ton of damage. Yeah, I'm thoroughly mid on these guys. They don't really have any other special stuff going on. And it's just a unit of 2. Always a unit of 2. It gets a fine profile, I guess. Interesting. Well, the AP 1 really kills it? Yeah, if it was ignore cover, it would be really good. Keep indirect bad. Well, just get rid of indirects. Like, if the problem is indirects, just remove it. Let them apply a penalty to enemies without shooting them to do damage. That would be cool. If they just Earthshakered you and did a thing. You got -1 to hit or something instead of shooting. It'd be kind of neat. Join the field ordnance better on the shelf? No. Yeah, that's okay. I think like breacher ordnance to like, I don't know, they can plink into a bunch of stuff. With reroll wounds, it's pretty okay. The problem is hitting on 4s is like no buffs, right? So it's D6 +1, you average 4.5 shots, you get 2.25 hits, and then you're wounding on, let's say you're wounding on like shooting a light vehicle, your 3s rerolling. So like you hand them 2 AP 1s. In a good day, you ignore cover. But realistically, if you shot them with Thunderkyn already, they might just be dead. So like, like I don't know. What's the best target for them? Like 10 medium infantry, like 2 wound, like 4+ armor save, I guess, or something. And then they get blast, and then they're clipping for 2 damage each. But even then, each individual guy is only getting 2 hits through on average. Which is not maybe 3 if you're blasting, 3 or 4. Say 3 or 4 hits, you're winning on 2s. So you're probably handing your opponent like 3 saves. So the full unit of 2 hands them like 6 saves, and they make 3 of those. So they on average kill like 3 infantry models. It's not a ton of value. Maybe if you just rack 3 of them. Maybe if you just have 6 of these things, it's like enough value, and then you can actually start killing people. But they're only 24 inches. They physically get in each other's way because they're kind of a big base, right? So they're most likely not going to be like in a position to like actually hit a lot of things with 24-inch guns. and they can't use the wound rerolls if they fire the tremor shells. I think if they could use Geomantic Hunters on tremor shells, it would actually probably be okay, because then they would be very good at clearing infantry for a long distance. But they can't do that. But maybe you just take them to kill like Eldar Rangers or something. I don't know. I don't know. They seem fine, but not very good. Let's move on. Next, let's talk about Scientist Man. We have not talked about Scientist Man whatsoever, so it's time. Scientist Man, the Arkanyst Evaluator. I totally forgot about him earlier, so we can hop into his data sheet. I actually don't know what keywords he has. He's also not a leader, is that right? But he's not a leader and also not lone operative. Oh, but he gains lone operative when he's near infantry. Okay, I see. He has T5, a 3+ armor save. Why does he have a 3+ armor save? He's wearing an apron. It's a very protective apron. 4 wounds, OC1. He's just a little man. He can either half, full, or overcharge his gun. Half is 3 shots, 8-1-1 at range. So each pip, it's always 3 attacks that hit on 2s. Each pip of overcharge gives him plus 6-inch range, +1 AP, and +1 damage. And if he goes to the full overcharge, and +1 rapid fire. So it's rapid fire 1. So the full one shoots 24 inches. It goes up to 6 shots at 12, and strength 8, AP 3 damage. However, he gets -2 to his hazardous roll, so he hazardous is on a 1, 2, or 3. That's so cute. I love it. And then once per turn in your shooting phase, one model with the ability can use it when it's selected to shoot. You spend 1 yield point, and you gain sustained hits 1. After it has shot this phase, if you destroyed an enemy with the attacks, you gain 2 yield points. He fucking turns you into gold, dude. That's so funny. I love that so much. That's so good. Resource transmutation. We're going to turn you into coal. Ship you off. That's very good. I tell you what, if this guy's cheap, he actually seems really good. The downside is that I imagine he's a character, right? I can't see. His data sheet's cut off. He's got to be a character, though, right? He's in the character section. He also has load operative. He's almost for sure a character. So he can gain enhancements. So if there's any really good enhancements for individual characters, that's probably a solid. And then if he's super cheap and they just wander around and have like a cracked gun, importantly, he's 4 wounds. So if he overcharges his gun and shoots 6 times for 3 damage each, and then hazardouses, he doesn't die. So he gets to do it again, or your opponent has to shoot him. It does require him to be within 12, but then maybe that's fine. And you can, like, just put these guys in random transport slots and vehicles. So, like, Sagitaurs are 6 transport capacity, but can carry, like, 5 dudes in a combat squad, and you just put the Arkanyst in the extra slot. And he can just go be a goober, or he can shoot a guy for 1 trillion damage. If these guys are 60 or less, I bet they're good. I bet they're good. I bet they're pretty okay. But if they're overcosted, then it's whatever. Yeah, good character for the Berserker Detachment. Yeah, and there's for sure gonna be some enhancements that are just like solid on these dudes, right? So if like we can't use any of these ones. Delve Assault, we can do the artillery buff thing. We can do the reroll thing, or the regeneration thing. That's actually really good. Because he's going to get lone operative, so he can wander out and draw line of sight to people. This probably goes on our Memnyr Strategist, most likely, just because it's like a slot for enhancement, so... Yeah, I think he's naturally in here because the Cthonian Beserks don't actually have any characters attached to them, so they need like support characters, and a support character that just has lone operative most of the time is really good. Yeah, love it. All right. Shall we move over and talk about... Oh, good thing we talked about the Arkanyst Evaluator, because there is an Arkanyst Evaluator detachment. I actually not even recognize that this was an Ironcyn Steeljacks detachment. Whoopsies. We talked about Steeljacks right off the rip. We should have saved them to talk about the Hearthfyre Arsenal. At the end of your command phase, you gain 1 yield point for each objective marker you control that is not within your deployment zone and has 1 or more Ironmaster and or Memnyr Strategists from your army within range of it, up to a maximum of 2. That stacks with the Memnyr Strategist ability, so you could gain 3 if you have 2 objectives outside your deployment zone, and one of them has a Memnyr Strategist on it, and the Memnyr Strategist uses his ability. So we are gaining yield points all day. In your shooting phase, each time a Brokhyr, Ironcyn Steeljack, so that means a unit with a Ironmaster or a Thunderkyn unit, Ironcyn Steeljack or Arkanyst Evaluator unit from your army is selected to shoot, you can spend a yield point. If you do until the end of the phase, it gets reroll hit rolls of 1. When we're shooting 36 times, it is shooting phase only, so it's weird. It's kind of weird it doesn't work on melee, but I don't know. When we're shooting 36 shots with an Ironcyn Steeljack unit, that's actually sweet. Far Strider node. Ironmaster or Memnyr Strategist models of the Bear's unit have Deep Strike. On Thunderkyn, don't mind if I do. Calculated Tenacity. Ironmaster or Memnyr Strategist while leading unit, you get +1 OC. Pretty solid. Importantly, not +1 OC while you are not battle shocked. It's just flat +1 OC. So if you are battle shocked, you gain OC 1, which is actually kind of sweet because you replace your OC with 0 and then add 1 to it. Mantle of Elders. Each time Bear's unit is selected to shoot, you can spend yield points using the optimal application detachment roll. Roll 1d6 on a 2+, you gain a yield point. So you can regenerate the yield point that you spent on a 2+. Memnyr Strategist only, so that could go into one of your big Ironcyn Steeljack bricks. Graviton Vault. Ironmaster only. Oh, we can't put any of these on Arkanyst. Sad. In your shooting phase after the bear has shot, and in your fight phase after the bear has fought, select one enemy monster or units hit by 1 or more of those attacks. You suppress it against monster to hit. Okay, that's solid. Working on monsters and vehicles is important because those are the ones you usually want to give -1 to. Stratagems. Unwavering Accuracy. In your shooting phase, a Brokhyr Thunderkyn unit from your army can ignore modifiers to the following: Ballistic Skill characteristic, hit roll, armor penetration characteristic. For 2? Okay. 2 CP. I guess so. The problem is that most of those, this has not been selected to shoot, and most of these are defensive stratagems that your opponent chooses after you select targets. So you burn 2 CP just so they don't spend any of their CP. And you're just on the losing end of that trade. I don't know. That's thoroughly mediocre. On Brokhyr Thunderkyn only. First Concern. In your shooting phase after a Brokhyr unit, Ironcyn Steeljack unit, or Arkanyst Evaluator unit from your army has shot, if your unit remains stationary in your movement phase this turn, it can make a normal move. Okay. These are underwhelming so far. That's a very good effect, but the hoop you have to jump through is really difficult. It works if you have the Deep Strike guy who rapid ingresses. And you rapid ingress, but then you have to not take damage, basically. And then also have something to shoot at, which is very unlikely. And then you get to shoot and move and hide. I don't know. It feels very, very difficult to pull off. Delayed fire rounds. In your shooting phase after a Brokhyr, Ironcyn Steeljack, or Arkanyst Evaluator unit from your army has shot. Select an enemy unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Until the start of your next shooting phase, each time the enemy unit makes a normal advance or fallback move, it has a chance to do mortals, but not charges. So you could maybe do some mortal wounds to a big unit, but honestly, it's okay if you just clipped them with a Brokhyr Thunderkyn or something, and then you hit them with this, but then, I don't know, they might just eat it. It's good if you, it's excluding not monsters and vehicles, so you can't even, leave a vehicle on 1 and then delayed fire around, so there's a chance that it dies. But it's on a roll of a 1. Yeah, I don't know. These stratagems are bad. Jesus. Wall of Steel. In your charge phase, after an Ironclad Steeljack unit from your army ends a charge move, you can spend 2 yield points, select an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles. What the fuck? What do they have against doing anything to monsters and vehicles? Come on, G-Dub. Roll 2 additional yield points. So you roll 1d6 for each model in your unit. Fortunately, it doesn't require for you to be engaged in engagement range of the targets. And you roll 2 additional if you spend yield points. You roll those d6 and you get for each 4+ you do a mortal wound. So you probably get 3 to 4 out of a Steeljack unit. I'm glad that it doesn't require that the models in your unit be in engagement range of the target, because it's really hard to get done. Preventative Purge is the next one. Usable in your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a fallback move. Target 1 Brokhyr, Thunderkyn, or Einhyr Steeljack unit from your army. Your unit can shoot as if it was a shooting phase. They can only target that unit. Interestingly, they fall back from you. Oh, and you get -1 to hit. Okay. So you hit on 5s, probably. Although, if they're on an objective, you might be able to get the bonus from the army ability. Okay. So, interestingly, it doesn't require that they fall back from the unit that shoots them. It's anything in your army can shoot. Cogitated Need is the next one. Enter your opponent's movement phase. An Ironclad Steeljack unit from your army can make a normal move. When doing so, it must end as close as possible to the closest objective marker. Oh, okay. Well, we saved the best for last. That's really good. End of your opponent's movement phase, you can move. You can basically surge to the closest objective marker. So that lets you, if you set that up correctly, let's say that you ensure that the model, the rearmost model in your unit is close to your expansion objective. Then end of your opponent's movement phase, you pay the 1 CP, and your unit just runs towards that objective and gets behind cover. Or you take their objective, essentially. It doesn't require that you end on the objective marker either. You just move towards it. And it's because it's the close as possible clause, only the closest model in your unit to the objective marker has to go towards it. So they go directly towards it as far as they can, and then the rest of the unit goes wherever they want. So you have a lot of control over where it goes. That stratagem's actually insane. That's super good. Awkwardly, I don't think it works if you rapid ingress, because they're simultaneous effects, because they're both triggered at the end of your opponent's movement phase. So you declare all of your stratagems, and your opponent says, okay, use Cogitated Need first. Yeah, so that's that's funny. You can't do weird deep strike chicanery with it. Otherwise, that would be insane. But the number of weird things you can do with the strat is cool. You can re-embark into transports. So you could run up a Hekaton land fortress, disembark as an Ironclad Steeljack unit, put the land fortress between the Steeljack unit and the objective. Then they shoot at an enemy, and then your opponent moves and goes to attack them, and you go Cogitated Need. They go towards the objective, bump up into the land fortress, and get into it. Okay. So the detachment ability is pretty solid. Reroll once they hit, probably all the time, and you sometimes gain additional yield points. And we have some okay enhancements and one really solid strat. Is that enough to make a good detachment? No. Is it interesting? Yes. Interesting. Okay. I wish it made Ironclad Steeljack's battle line. That would be fucking wild. That would be really cool. It did not do that, however. All right, chance. We have 2 detachments left to talk about. I've been live for 2 hours. I need a very quick break. So I think I'm going to give you a momentary respite from my unending deluge of trash that comes out of my mouth. And I'm going to go ahead and hop off for a moment here. I'm just going to put you on a loop for a sec. I'll give you some music, and I'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. Cheers, everybody!
Yeah. Unknown Brain. Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
I know that I gotta stay away from all your games, yeah. I know that I found somebody else to love me one day, yeah. You'll realize
Yeah, my life is lovely now, I'm focused on me. You said you were about to die, I guess the car is on E. But see, I ain't even tripping, cause I just chose to believe that somebody gon' come around and give me just what I need. I don't wanna see you frowning, see you looking down and out. Coming to me crying, saying you miss having me around. Gave you chances and you blew it, you so easily influenced. All the times you told me beat it, now you gotta face the music, I'm saying.
I know that I gotta stay away from all your games, yeah. I know that I found somebody else to love me one day, and you'll realize the grass ain't greener on the other side, no. You did me dirty for the last time, so now I gotta say goodbye.
Chat, we're coming back. Who's ready? Who's ready to talk about some more Leagues of Votann? What's up, everybody? Let's go. All right. Let's talk about the persecution prospects. I'd say it's a very dour name. I don't know how I feel about that. Why are they persecuting anyone? Aren't they just happy little miner guys? I don't know. So this is the Hearthkyn, or the Hernkyn detachment. So we care about Hernkyn stuff. Detach ability grants us your shooting phase after you select to shoot. You can use the ability until the end of the phase. Attacks made by models in your unit can only target the enemy unit that has been selected. So you select a non-monster, non-vehicle enemy. You can only target that enemy unit. So you have to concentrate all your fire from your attacker. If one or more of your attacks hit that enemy until the start of your shooting phase, the unit is assailed. If that unit is already assailed until the start of your next shooting phase, it is also pinned. This works on everything, by the way. So it works on your infantry as well as your vehicle. So your light stuff is also going to get the effect. While a unit is pinned, it gets -2 move and charge. So you basically shoot at a unit to mark it as a target, and then you can shoot it again to pin it down. There's some work going on outside of my room, by the way, here. So if there's any noise in the background, that would be it. Persecution prospect. All right, enhancements. Eye for an eye. Each time you target an assailed unit, get +1 to wound. All right. Sick. Done. Writ of acquisition. After your bear's unit is shot, you gain 1 yield point for every assailed unit hit by one or more of those attacks. So you can assail enemies by marking them with your first shooters, your initial attacks. Then these guys can jump out and split fire to generate a ton of yield points. That's cool. Surgical Saboteur. In your shooting phase after the bear's unit is shot, select a monster or vehicle that is hit by one or more attacks. It is pinned. Sick. That's actually really good. Give them -2 move and -2 to charge. That's huge. Because there is no other way to do that automatically. Nomad Strategist is the last one. Once per battle at the end of your opponent's fight phase, if there is on the battlefield, you can use this enhancement. Spend up to 4 yield points. Select 1 Hernkyn unit from your army for each 2 you spend. Oh, excuse me. Select 1 Hernkyn unit, and for each 2 yield points you spend, 1 additional Hernkyn unit from your army. Remove those from the battlefield, place them in strategic reserve. So you get 1 for free. It's kind of like the Cthonian Berserk regeneration enhancement. However, you can spend yield points to get more. You cannot select a unit that is in engagement range. So it's an up-down for Hernkyn only. But it doesn't require that you have any proximity to the... I like that they call this Nomad Strategist because they know you're going to put it in your Memnyr Strategist. It doesn't require you have any proximity to the unit you're up-downing. So you can just do it wherever, which is great. I don't know if bikes retained their own up-down, but if they did, you could up-down like your entire army. Adaptable Avarice is the first stratagem. If your army has Fortified Takeover, a League of Votann character unit from your army can be targeted. You can spend any number of yield points. Once you have done so, if you have 6 or fewer, Till the start of your next turn, you have hostile acquisition. So you can pay a CP start of any phase to flip yourself from fortified takeover back to hostile acquisition. Sick. Alright, cool. Frontier Momentum. Usable in your shooting phase, one Hernkyn unit from your army that has not been selected to move this phase. Until the end of the phase, if your unit advances, do not make an advance roll for it. Instead, until the end of the phase, add 6 to the movement characteristic of models in your unit. So you get an auto 6 advance on for Hernkyn. Seems good. Exposed Flaws. A Hernkyn unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot. Each time you use the stratagem, you can spend 2 yield points until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack. If you spent yield points during the use of the stratagem, and or if you target an assailed unit, reroll wound rolls. Oh, Hernkyn only. But Hernkyn Pioneers are pretty good, although half their weapons are already twin-linked, right? Because they have the twin-linked autocannon. Is that right? Oh, crazy. We'll look at their datasheet in a sec. Reroll wound rolls for 1 CP and potentially 2 yield points, but maybe not even. Okay. Ranger Tactics. Votann unit from your army that's not been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model unit makes an attack. If that attack targets an assailed unit, and or if you are Hernkyn, you get reroll hit rolls. Doesn't require you to spend any yield points whatsoever. Great. I'm going to say this detachment feels pretty okay. Claims Taker Reflex. You basically... A lot of this stuff you can, like, set up with your, like, utility. Where you just have, like, I don't know, fucking Arcanysts and Hearthkyn warriors, excuse me, and Sagitaurs and shit. Like, assail everyone, anyone relevant. And then you have Hernkyn units and potentially, like, big bricks that can benefit from these stratagems to just knock them down. Brokhyr Thunderkyn, grant assail and ignore cover onto a target. Okay. Claim Staker Reflex. After an enemy makes ends a normal advance or fallback move, you target a Votann unit from your army, excluding artillery and vehicles, within 9 inches. Each time you use the stratagem, you can spend 2 yield points. Your unit makes a normal move of up to d6 inches. If you spent the yield points, you move up to 6. Okay, well that's pretty good. You just cannot embark into transport. Didn't say that in the previous one. Dispersed Formation. Usable in your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. Infantry or mounted unit from your army that was selected gains the benefit of cover. Yeah, that's whatever. I guess it's okay on Hernkyn Pioneers, because sometimes they're like all up in your opponent's face and they won't have cover naturally. Let's talk about their datasheets. Hernkyn Pioneers. So here's Yaegirs. Big coat men. They retain, so Yaegirs retain their top line profile. Were they always move 6 or they moved 5 previously? Actually don't know. They were always move 6, okay. And they gained a d6 reactive move, or they kept their d6 reactive move, excuse me. They have, let's see. They can have their bolt shotgun and revolver replaced with a plasma knife. Oh, sorry, excuse me. They start with a bolt shotgun. They can have the shotgun replaced by a revolver and a plasma knife. I thought it said they were replacing their shotgun and their revolver. That's wrong. So you can take the knife if you want to stabs. They're strength 4, AP 2. That's fine. Or you take the bolt shotgun, which is just strength 5, 2 shots, 18-inch range assault, which is also fine. Honestly, their guns probably don't matter. Although inside the vehicle, if you combat squad them in transports, which you probably will do, which is actually great in this detachment because you can up down those transports, and you can that also gives you more units to assail enemies. So you might want the shotguns just for longer range to hit enemies to assail them. So you may just be looking for that. They also have the anti-monster, anti-vehicle 3 APM launcher, which you're probably taking. And one guy can take a magnet coil rifle, which is String 5 AP 2 damage, which you might take anyway. And then you can shoot those out of the top of your transport as well, which is cool. So you get 5 like melee dudes potentially. It replaces all their models, unfortunately, with knives. So you just get 5 shotgun dudes to hang out in the middle and screen or act as utility, and then you combat squad into a transport, and you get another 2 units as well to wander around. And the you can shoot some guys out of the top of the transport too, which is also pretty neat. Crystals might seem better. Well, not if you're trying to assail people, right? If you're in the Hernkyn detachment specifically, then you need guns because you want more longer range guns to be able to apply assail to more people. You can do it with the bolt pistol if you're close enough, right? But it's less attack volume, so there's a chance you would miss. I believe you have to be hit, right? For the ability to trigger. Yeah, if one or more of the attacks hit. So if you have only like 2 or 3 attacks, there's a pretty reasonable chance they don't hit. So you want higher attack volume, and you want higher range. So in that detachment, you're probably taking the shotguns. Honestly, I don't know if it matters so much what they're taking, but like the plasma knife, like maybe you'll get a swing back if your opponent comes to try to kill them and they live or something. Pioneers. Pioneers do retain their strategic reserve ability. They now have to be wholly within 9 of the battlefield edge instead of within 6, I think was the old rule, which was pretty generous. But that does, so you can up down them from anywhere with the enhancement, or they can up down themselves naturally if they're near the table edge. So these guys in that detachment are going to be all over the place. Their autocannons are not twin linked, excuse me. The Kapricus autocannon is twin linked. But if you're getting the wound reroll stratagem, their attack volume is pretty wild, right? Because they have 2 strength 5 bolt shotgun attacks, plus the Magna autocannon, plus probably the rotary cannon, right? And it's all going to be rerolling hits and maybe even also wounds, which is pretty spooky. The roll bar searchlight still gives ignore. Oh, it gives ignore hit roll modifiers. So we do want Brokhyr Thunderkyn quite a bit because we don't have basically army-wide ignore cover. Pantractal Scanner gives them reroll once they hit, though. That's okay, I guess. And they get all of these, right? So if you take a unit of 6, you get all 3 Searchlight, Scanner, Comms Array. So there's a chance you regen when you pay to like give them rerolls and stuff, too. The units of 6 of these actually seem like they're kind of spooky. It's a lot of attack volume. The AP is relatively low, and you have to get ignore cover somewhere else. But that assails the target, so it might be fine anyway. If they're in a transport, they lose out on infiltrate. Right, but the transport splits them, so you get 1 infiltrator and 1 scout. Which is the astrological associations. Yeah, I don't know about the vehicles. Especially because the Hekaton land fortress is just like a word, right? It's like kind of means nothing. But the little vehicles are all like kind of Greek. They're sort of Greco. It's a little bit... It is a little funny because it doesn't fit the Norse theme of the faction. I don't really know what the intention there was. Alright, we already talked about the Kapricus. The Kaprici. But... that is, I believe, all of the core detachments to talk about. So we can talk about Hearthband now, in context of the new codex. So let's do that. Grab the Hearthband detachment, and then we'll talk about Einhyr stuff. The champion and the Hearthguard. So, we're no longer getting judgment tokens. Don't need that effect anymore. However, we get +1 to hits reroll once to hit, in addition to the situational +1 to hit we can already gain from depending on our army ability being active. And when you Attack the closest eligible target. You can gain +1 AP and +1 to hit. Or excuse me, roll once to hit. We can take the Bastion Shield to worsen armor penetration characteristics. Quake multi-generator to give enemies -1 to hit. Call only, awkwardly. Iron Skein to give +2 wounds. If that brought a Arkanyst to 7, that would actually be hilarious. Because then they can suffer 2 overcharges and not die. And then High Call gives 4+ final death. Yeah, okay. Okay. Stratagems, we get a 4+ invulnerable save on Kahl, Uthar, Destined, or Hearthguard. Sure of Purpose grants a 6-inch piling consolidation. Superior Craftsmanship for 2 CP gives +1 damage in melee. Unyielding Aggression is Fallback, Shoot, and Charge. Always good. Materialization Matrices gives you 6-inch Deep Strike, but you cannot charge. Which I think is, it's explicitly just the, like, basically the Hearthguard units, right? Because we don't really have any access to Deep Strike other than that, outside of the other detachments. And then Fury of the Hearth is non-blast weapons gain rapid fire 1. Okay, on Einhyr Hearthguard. So, importantly, I think this is kind of out of context until we talk about what Hearthguard do. Should have talked about them first, I think, in hindsight, but there we go. So here's the Hearthguard datasheet. They have retained their kind of miserable 2 wounds, despite the fact that they're a high T characteristic, or relatively high toughness characteristic, sort of heavy infantry unit. They end up just being sort of Grey Knights with extra steps. Their plasma gun is rapid fire 1, 24-inch range, strength 7, AP 3, 2 damage. Grenade launcher is D3 shots, blast, not D6. Ew. Ew. Because it used to be D6 strength 4, right? And now it is D3 strength 3. Yuck. That's not as good. Vulcanite Disintegrator, 3 shots, strength 5, devastating. Definitely, well, I guess awkwardly. So the Edison Plasma, you said just be strength 8, but not rapid fire. So rapid fire is for free now. So in the context of the detachment, this ability is not that great. Because the weapon you're using it on, which had the greatest improvement on its output, doesn't benefit from this at all. You can use this to get you rapid fire on your Vulcanite, but it's just +1 attack per guy. I mean, it's still not bad, but that's all you get. Okay. And then in melee, they're a little worse in melee, actually. Concussion Gauntlet went from strength 9 to strength 8. Graviton Hammer gained anti-monster, anti-vehicle 3. But it's only AP 1, 4+ weapon skill. And then Plasma Blade Gauntlet is the same.
Jace donated £2 through Super Chat. Didn't you miss the Hearthfyre detachment?
Hearthfyre Arsenal? No, we talked about it. We had a whole discussion about this one. And how neat cogitated need is. Yeah. Huh. I was... A lot of these effects, especially things like +1 to wound. So like Needguard has like the +1 to wound when you're selecting shoots, and like reroll 1s to hit and wound and stuff, which I sort of assumed would be good on these high volume units like the Einhyr Hearthguard. But the fact that their profiles are so much less impressive is really disappointing. The difference in their grenade launcher is stark, right? So I guess the hope would be that you can take them at higher volumes, but it definitely doesn't feel quite as impressive. Einhyr Champion is the leader. Imperial Guard with shorter steps. So he looks basically unchanged. Oh, he gives +1/2 charge. Oh, instead of rerolls. Because it used to be reroll charges, right? Unfortunately, his teleport crest has remained unchanged, which blows my fucking mind. So the teleport crest grants him deep strike while he's leading a unit, but it doesn't grant him deep strike while he's by himself, which is incredibly frustrating. In my opinion, very stupid. But +1/2 advance and charge is incredible. I don't think that there's any way to get these guys advance and charge, right? Unless I'm missing something. However, +1 to charge means that they just make 8-inch deep strikes out of charge. Or 8-inch charges out of deep strike, which is like a 60% chance when you're just deep striking them. So that's actually kind of sweet. And then he still has the Mortal Wound effect. When he charges enemies on a 2+, he does D3. On a 6, he does D3 + 3. Let's go. And his melee weapon profiles, I think, are also unchanged. Yeah, Darkstar Axe 6/2/2 versus Mass Hammer 12 AP2. Oh, it went up in AP actually. They both went up in AP. All right, so he's a little bit stronger in melee, and then he still has the Outark pattern Stormbolter. So I think honestly, I mean, Einhyr Champion feels like they just got better. I think the hope is that these guys are significantly less expensive than they are previously, because I think Hearthguard right now are like 32 points a model, right? If I remember correctly, they are 32. 30 on a 5er, 32 on a 10. If they cut a little bit in points value because their output's significantly lower, and you can take a higher volume of them, they're kind of a melee unit now. They get reroll hit rolls of one targeting the closest eligible target, which they used to get -1 to be wounded if they're with a higher strength characteristic than toughness. Oh, and they lost to toughness too. Ew. So that also means that you're probably not playing this detachment. Because, oh, excuse me, where did my detachment go? I think I must have closed the Hearthband Detachment because they already have the effect baked in, right? And that detachment almost explicitly like buffs Hearthguard, and so Hearthguard already gaining the ability doesn't really, it's pretty meaningless, unfortunately. But that does mean that at a baseline, the entire unit is most likely hitting on 2s, or more often than not hitting on 2s and rerolling 1s. So their efficiency is very high, because they're getting +1 to hit from the army ability, and then also reroll 1s to hit from their own ability, plus whatever your detachment ability is. So there's definitely still play, and if they don't break the bank quite as much, being able to like rock, I don't know, a bunch of Volkite weapons that get like a pretty sweet enhancement is going to be good. Although it does feel a little bit, I guess the difference is that they're good both in shooting and melee, and they can gain like movement bonuses, and they can deep strike. Otherwise, it feels to me like you're almost always taking Steeljacks, right? Because a Steeljack shoots with slightly less accurate but more shots, devastating weapons with a longer range. And doesn't require the same level of support, whereas the Hearthguard is like mostly just, I guess, doing the kind of same thing. I guess like the plasma guns with +1 to wound is probably pretty good, because you can drop 20 shots, like 20 dudes down, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. You probably hit 100%, and then you're probably winning on 4s with 20 shots AP3. If you clip the target with a Thunderkyn to start with, then you're gaining ignore cover, so AP3 ignore cover, and you hand your opponent 10 AP3 saves. Plus whatever your character does. If you're in Needguard, that might be fine. If we're in Persecution Prospect, we can give them wound rerolls, right? Oh no, Hernkyn only can get wound rerolls. Yeah, alright, that's fair. We can just give them hit rerolls, but we don't need those. So like maybe that's the play. Needguard kind of feels like where you want to be playing this, because we can do the Oathbound Speculator thing, which just seems good. Plus, like we could get the like stratagems discounted with characters, and then the calls grant lethal as well. So 2s rerolling 1s on lethal hits is pretty solid. Okay. Yeah, you know, with the Kahl teleporting, actually, it might be alright. Yeah, if it's cheaper than 30 Pro 2 points per model, to be honest. Because I think that value is significantly too expensive for what is ostensibly a strike unit. They're literally just Grey Knights with +1 toughness. Which is, you know, not that exciting. No invulnerable save, unless you take a Wheatfield Crest, and then you're not teleporting. I don't know, chat. What do we think? Teleport Crest always works like that? Yeah, but I don't know why it works like that. That's stupid. Well, I'm trying to say that it shouldn't work like that. I think that's dumb. I think you should be able to take Einhyr champions and use them as utility. Every other faction can do it with Terminators. I don't understand why they feel that Einhyr champions would be too strong. Like, you can just take Terminator captains and deep strike them for free. Like, I don't... Why does this guy require that he gives up his invuln save and also has an additional hoop to jump through? It makes no sense to me. I think that the Einhyr champions would be significantly more interesting if you could teleport them for free. Hearthguard basically a mix for both versions of Steeljacks, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's like kind of the idea, right? I think if you have any synergy to work with Vulcanites, Steeljacks are going to be better. But if you can make the Eädäsern Plasma work, these guys feel like they might edge out a little bit, just for raw high AP damage, versus the like mass devastating wounds that the Steeljacks have. Steeljacks definitely seem great, though. It's because of the damage 4 bolter. That bolter's gonna get someone. It's got if you have a Kahl, it has lethal, right? So it's like actually it can do something. I don't know. Could be okay. Still not a 4+ save, yeah. Yeah, the fact that they want the Votann Terminator equivalent to be so much less tanky than the other Terminators still kind of like throws me. Because they're like Votann should be a slightly above average defensive characteristics, right? So the fact that these guys aren't like T6 3 wounds like blows my mind. I understand them not having a built-in invuln save because the way that the faction gets invuln saves are from their unit champions. But why the unit as a baseline is so much easier to kill it kind of throws me. I don't know. I don't get it. Feels like most units got a little worse with higher potential. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I do think... So, like, I guess as a little bit of a... I think we talked about all the data sheets, right? I don't think we have anybody left to discuss. Yeah. I'm kind of excited about rocking the Vulcanite guys because... the Vulcanite Steeljacks, because like a million shots devastating is like one of my favorite weapon profiles to attack with. It's just so fun. I just like rolling a million dice. 6 shots each devastating is like sick. Hopefully these guys aren't super expensive either. Because like a lot of it, they have to pay for their they have to pay for their like army ability in a big way. And I hope that they what am I trying to say? Like, they won't get the same level of consistent hit bonuses as they did from Judgment tokens, it feels like. Until you get Fortify Claim, and then you can turn on your +1 to hit whenever you want. Or Fortify Takeover. But your opponent can play around the +1 to hit on objectives, like, in the early game whenever they need to. So, I think that what's going to be really interesting is kind of discovering, like, the play pattern, because it's going to be very different for them. Steeljacks are 160 for 6. Are they really? So they're like 20. What is that? 25? Or 26, 27, 27ish. That's really good. For a 3-wound T6 2+ with a 6-shot devastating gun, that's incredible, right? 27 points? Dude, these guys are what fucking tactical Terminators wish they could be. Jesus. You look at this datasheet, and then look at a tactical Terminator squad datasheet. And these guys are 5 points cheaper? Come on. They probably up. They bump like 3 points, right? There's no way. That would be shocking to say that points value. I would rock 18 of these guys every day if they were 27 points a model. Let's go. No access to invulns. No, but they're 2+ save. Like 2+ save, even without invulns, in most situations, it's basically just a 4+ invuln save. So I think it's probably fine. Six Steeljacks with a Memnyr, 36 shots for shooting, 36 shots for Overwatch, then clap out grinding shooting. Yeah, just shoot like fucking 110 times or whatever. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on points chat because they are the points are certainly likely to change. Like I don't know if this model feels like he's more valuable than 27. I don't know if he's gonna stay at 27. It's not really worth like putting a lot of thought into. For the time being. And precision. Well, sometimes precision. Precision on a Tuesday, if the sun's out, before 6 p.m. You know, it's the fucking weirdest precision of all time. So, I don't know. Interesting codex. A lot of stuff got downgraded. I think the detachments add a lot of interesting new play patterns, which is going to be really interesting. I hope that points are good. That's going to be a lot. I mean, that's the common refrain is... The points will determine, because if the army becomes a little bit less elite and a little bit less vehicle focused, like vehicle centric, then it's gonna be really interesting. A lot of the good stuff is still good, right? Like I feel like Brokhyr Thunderkyn feel like they are auto includes. Just a three three-mans for Brokhyr Thunderkyn, maybe 2 3s and a 6, just to strip cover everywhere, and then also have good shooting in general, like as well. Is sick. Brokhyr Thunderkyn feel really good. And then we kind of go from there, right? Hernkyn Pioneers still seem great. They have a lot of the same utility they used to. You just need to synergize them a little bit better. Hearthkyn Warriors seem great. Sagitaur is obviously worse, but I still think you take 2-ish just to carry the Hearthkyn Warriors around. And that's like where a lot of your utility comes in, between like a couple of Hernkyn Pioneer units and the Sagitaurs with Hearthkyn. Or maybe 1 Sagitaur with 5 Hearthkyn, and then we like focus on the Capricorns or whatever the fuck they're called. What are they called? Kapricus. The Capricorn defenders. And then we take like 1 or 2 of those, because that gives you a ton. If those guys are inexpensive, that gives you a ton of utility, and then the rest of the list can just be big shooting guys, big shooting batteries. I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting, chat. I like it. Sagitaur transport rule does not exclude artillery. That's so true, actually. Wait, can the Kapricus? The Kapricus can only transport Hernkyn, I assume, right? Oh yeah, 5 Hernkyn units. Okay. That's incredibly funny. There's no way that doesn't get eroded, but very funny. I don't know why that would be relevant, but incredible. Drive-by Sagitaur, 3 mad scientists. Yeah, the mad scientists they might be okay. I have high hopes for this unit. I love like little idiot shooting characters. And despite the fact that I didn't play Eldar, one of the characters I loved in 9th edition was the Bow of Kurnos, Farseer Skyrunner. There's a Farseer Skyrunner build where he got a pistol that was like successful wounds were immortals or something, and then he could like use fate dice to flip a bunch of successful hits. And you could track it with a warlord trait where you could gain sustains, or I don't remember. It was you ended up just doing 1 trillion mortal wounds with that guy, and I loved it. I thought it was the coolest thing. He was always spooky, and he would run around and do much damage, and you're like, oh shit. And I love little independent characters like that would run around. If Arkanyst Evaluator is good at shooting, I love the idea of just like having a bunch of them hop out of a vehicle and then like blast away and turn you into fucking oil. Incredible. Anyway, chat, I think that's gonna be it for this video. I think I'm ready to wrap things up. Thanks everyone for coming hanging out. We had a bunch of people in the chat, it was cool. Thanks to everybody who dropped super chats and stuff. I will do a little redirect. I'm going to be live on Twitch in, it's this evening. I think it's like 9 hours or something. It's on my Google Calendar, so you can go check that out. But I'll be live on Twitch this evening playing some Chaos Demons. I will redirect you to the Lone Star Open coverage. Don't forget to go give that a little please notify me when live button, because I'm going to be there. I'm heading over tomorrow morning to set up, and then I'm going to be there all weekend live streaming, so it should be a pretty good time. Do Arkanysts give each other Lone Operative? No. It excludes units with the Lone Operative ability. Well, I don't know. It feels like one of those things where, like, it was like the stupid little Neurogons at the start of the edition, where it was like they gain Synapse, but then like they gain it from units with Synapse, and so if they have Synapse themselves, they give it to themselves. So as soon as they get it one time, they gain it forever. And this feels like it just like sort of blue screens the game if you try to put two of them together. They both have and do not have Lone Operative at the same time. I think reasonably they don't. It's the easiest way to probably rule that. That's a weird one. It's Schrodinger's Lone Operative. Yeah. Yeah. They both do not have Lone Operative, which means they gain Lone Operative, which means they do not have Lone Operative. But then, because they don't have Lone Operative, they gain Lone Operative again. Almost certainly they do not gain Lone Operative next to each other. That would be incredibly silly. Yeah. Anyway, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Keep it classy, everyone, and I'll see you tonight over on Twitch, and otherwise I'll see you on Saturday. Cheers.